super late. For those of you who was waiting on me to get on, I'm so super sorry. Something personal came up, so I had to take care of it, like always. So before we do any drawing, or at least while I do some drawing, we're going to do some reactions. We have 4 reactions. 2 are woke, anti-ish woke stuff, and then the other 2 is just reactions to video games, and that's it. So let's just jump into this now. This is from Clownfish TV. Hold on. Let me get this real quick. Okay, there we go. So this is from Clownfish TV, and it says here, John Deere ditches DEI as DEI continues to die across corporate America. So a lot of DEI focused stuff is dying amongst like Microsoft. I did a video on that. That will be coming out soon. But Microsoft, John Deere, and maybe other corporations, or whatever the case may be. Now, I don't know if it's going to actually die off, like it's just going to stop, which I doubt. I think what they're going to do is rebrand it again as best as they could, but we don't know. So they may just totally just forget about it completely, and then we can go back to normalcy, or they're going to rebrand it and bring this back in a couple like months to years or something like that. Because one thing about ideology, it just doesn't die off with itself by just a corporate reason. It usually dies off, and it takes a very long time, because it's kind of like an infection, zombie infection, if you ask me. But anyway, so with that said, let's play this.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And
sorry, things I didn't think I'd be talking about today.
Yeah, nobody runs from DEI like a deer. So we're gonna talk about John Deere tractor making a big public show of ditching DEI, and they said that they're not gonna be political. They're not gonna sponsor any events anymore. They apparently there was backlash. I missed all of this. Apparently they were sponsoring pride parades and stuff. I don't know.
John Deere.
John Deere.
Like the tractors.
Yeah, they were. What's this one here? This was last year. They were going to sponsor Drag Story Time, and then they dropped that. Now they're
a capital city. John Deere.
What does that have to do with? You know what I'm saying? Like, look, we're gonna talk about this because it's not. I mean, this is kind of out of our wheelhouse because we're dealing with farm equipment.
Well, not really so much me, because I grew up around on the farms and stuff, and we had the whole, it was John Deere against, Farmall.
See, I knew
we
that.
have a Farmall.
Yeah. Your dad still got his old Farmall
He does.
tractor,
I love that old Farmall. It was built the same year he was born.
But like this is indicative of what is going on in the larger business space, where basically all these companies now, because it's no longer in vogue, and there has been some definite financial repercussions, they're all abandoning.
Okay, so today we're doing 4 reactions, and that's it. 2 of them are anti-woke, and the other 2 are video game related stuff, and that's it. I'm gonna do a little bit more like painting on skin, trying to understand skin, and then around I think 6 or 7 o'clock we'll play Zenless Zone Zero.
But the media is like, you're
totally
terrible if you
for
abandon DEI. It's like, but DEI is destroying the company. Plus, I would argue DEI is causing your problems to exacerbate, because, people are questioning someone is hired that's diverse, even if they're really qualified.
It's not having access to 1 million industrial-grade products that's so amazing. It's the feeling of knowing you'll find the one you need. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wrong turn. Hey Google, play dramatic music.
They're being questioned if they're DEI hire, and I don't think that's fair or correct. And before it was, people just assumed if you got hired, it was because you got hired because you were qualified. Now they assume it's because it's because you're a woman, or because you're not white, or because you're not straight. Right. And I think it's actually done more damage than it's actually helped anything. I just can't wrap my head around John Deere. Didn't Tractor Supply was doing it too?
Yeah, we're gonna talk.
I just can't wrap my head around this.
We're gonna talk about it because it's all across the board. Like we've been covering.
You had to this year to get like money and not get shut down.
Well, yeah. So for a while, It was very fashionable to have DEI and to have progressive causes and to put up the rainbow logo on your Twitter account. And a lot of times I think this is coming at the request or insistence of a younger social media manager.
I'm sure it is because I just can't. Okay.
John Deere tractor.
I grew up in a rural area around farmers and such. And while, I can't picture the John Deere
Typical
crowd
John Deere
thinking,
tractor.
being like, oh, drag story time. Yeah.
I know, right? Like, these two things don't
I'm not mocking
really
drag story time. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Some things just do not go together.
So let's talk about this because again, this is indicative of a wider set of dominoes that are falling down, and it's happening very, very quickly. It was like the end of last year.
The media is freaking the hell out.
They're freaking out. And at the end of last year, like all these tech companies started ditching DEI, and now there's talk of going back to meritocracy. And we just did a video the other day.
I don't understand why going back to meritocracy is a bad thing. I'm sure a lot of these places are still going to hire people that are diverse.
It's a bad thing because a lot of people just are so used to what's going on now, so they're gonna freak out when things go the opposite direction.
They're just gonna hire qualified people that are diverse.
Well, no, that's the problem because it's easier for activists to sneak into a company.
There you go.
When they don't have to be this tall to get on the ride.
Why would they want to get rid of DEI if it's all activist employees who do nothing but sit on the internet all day and scream at other people and constantly complain all the time? Why would you ever want to get rid of that?
So we're going to talk about this, and this is making a lot of people angry, but this is honestly how I think it started. Now, I do want to say that I don't think diversity and inclusion is not going away completely, and there's some theories that they're just going to call it something else.
Yeah, that's what's my theory. I think what they're gonna do is just rebrand the term DEI or ESG. They're just going to rebrand it to something else, like the bridge thing. So they're gonna just rebrand it to something completely different. I don't think it's gonna die off and go away. It's just gonna sit in quietness, and then it's gonna come back with a vengeance later on. That's what's technically what's gonna happen. The light's coming this way, so I shouldn't put light here.
But whatever is going on, these companies aren't going to be virtue signaling as hard as they have been because there have been financial repercussions. Like, you can say, hey, we want... okay, so it's hard to be diverse and inclusive and say, hey, we want everybody's money except for 50% of the country. We don't want their money. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if your customers are red or blue if their money is green.
Right.
That's what you have to look at. And I'm sorry, again, a brand like John Deere or even Tractor Supply, I am willing to bet the majority of your customers are red.
Yeah, I know I'm very familiar with Tractor Supply, and I know the people that are around farmers, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, a lot of them probably didn't know about this. Hell, I didn't know about this stuff. If people knew about this, they would have been screaming. They've been so pissed. Yeah, your audience is not, your target demographic is not ones that would be like, okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Yeah, woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
So this was the tweet yesterday. I actually had, I think Black Sage D sent me the initial tweet. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know this was going on. But
so are these companies turning against it now because they got caught using it? Or I don't understand.
I think they're turning against it because they're trying to, my personal opinion, yeah, I think they're trying to win back their customers because, again, a brand like John Deere.
I never heard John Deere was doing this stuff.
I didn't know they were doing it either. I mean, I don't have a tractor, but...
I don't have a John Deere.
And yeah, you got a farm-all.
Farm-all.
Whether you're green or red, your money's also. But like, and most farmers probably aren't terminally online, right? So I don't think they knew.
I know at least one. Anyway.
Yes, there is one particular farmer who is terminally online and
obsessed with me.
Mentally ill.
Anyway,
but that's a whole nother thing. We don't know what kind of tractor he drives though. So anyway, this is the statement they put out yesterday. It's pretty bad when these companies have to issue a statement to try to win back their customers. John Deere says our customers' trust and confidence in us are of the utmost importance to everyone at John Deere. We fully intend to earn it every day in every way we can. And yeah, they're flipping out. But this is their official statement. They said John Deere was founded in America's heartland nearly 200 years ago by an entrepreneur deeply committed to delivering innovative products to his customers. We're proud of this legacy, and it continues to drive us today. We deeply value our more than 80,000 global employees who work every day to deliver superior products to our customers. It takes the best people and the best teams to solve our customers' biggest challenges.
Oh, wait, there's 80,000 global employees, and I guarantee you among those 80,000 global employees, there are diverse people who are qualified for the position.
I'm sure. To best serve our customers and employees, Deere is always listening to feedback and looking for opportunities to improve. That's why we consistently prioritize internal policies that more closely align our business strategy to meet the needs of our customers. For example, last year we revised our. I love how they kind of snuck it in here. For example, last year we revised our corporate guidelines to solely focus on sponsorships supporting the business and the brand. Our nonprofit sponsorships center on priority areas such as hunger. Economic development, poverty alleviation, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, agriculture, education initiatives, which makes sense for John Deere, and support for our nation's service members and veterans. Again, given the demographic, that makes sense. Based on ongoing conversations, we have
You spend a lot of time with your monitor, working, gaming, learning, find the right
committed to the following. We will no longer participate or support external social or cultural awareness parades, festivals, or events.
They got caught. That's what this is going on. They were sneaking this in, and people didn't know. And then, because I didn't even hear anything. This is last year. I didn't hear anything about it. And people found out, and people were mad.
It got buried under the Bud Light video.
Apparently. See, that's what happened. They got caught, and then when people found out, they stopped supporting, and then they hit their bottom line.
Right. It said business resource groups will exclusively be focused on professional development, networking, mentoring, and supporting talent recruitment efforts.
So what were they using it before? Like, were they doing like you different groups like Disney has, and they're naming them stuff like after their culture and stuff?
Probably. Auditing all company mandated training materials and policies to ensure the absence of socially motivated messages.
They had re-education seminars.
Yes, while being in compliance with federal, state, and local laws. So basically, everything's just going back to how it was. Reaffirming within the business that the existence of diversity quotas and pronoun identification have never been and are not company policy.
Well, the reason they're probably putting that in there is because you're hiring people for quota and they don't know what they're doing and just cost you money. But the pronoun identification, like, I have no problem if someone had this different pronouns than me. A lot of people have problems with it. I have no problem. But the problem I have is when somebody misgenders you and you have a fit and get them fired. I'm just like, it happens. Some people, but I'm sure that's what's coming up. It's actually how many more headaches did that cause?
Yeah, it's like, just say, I'm sorry, I'd prefer whatever. And that's fine. Just realize, like, it's...
Well, some people do it on purpose, but most people don't.
Some people do it on purpose, but, like, realize most people aren't going to do it on purpose. But if you force people...
Moral lathers.
To do it, or you have a shit fit about it, or funny, you really try to force people that are obviously he, him, or obviously she, her, to wear their pronouns on their chest, and they don't want to, you're going to get pushback.
That's just it.
You're going to get pushback.
There's a lot of people who don't want to do that, and they shouldn't have to. And then you have Gina Carano, for example, or when they have that Transformer, or with Gina Joe panel, and then they were making everybody say their pronouns. If you want to, that's up to you, but people shouldn't have to if they don't want to either.
Right. It said reaffirming within the business that the existence of diversity quota.
We already read that.
We said that. Okay, we fundamentally believe that a diverse workforce enables us to best meet our customers' needs.
Yes.
And because of that, we will continue to track and advance the diversity of our organization. Now,
that's kind of contradicting what they just said.
Well,
we're not going by quotas.
No. So I think what they're saying, and this is kind of what Microsoft was saying too. Now, there are a couple different ways to take this. Right, we did a video on Microsoft the other day. They're basically saying we are going to continue to hire diverse people, obviously.
Well, yeah,
but we're not going to make it a mandate that we have to hire a quota number of diverse people.
But they're not saying they're getting rid of DEI.
Well, no, they're getting rid of DEI. That's what it is. Because there's difference between diversity and inclusion. This is the way that they're wording it. Diversity and inclusion means we want diverse people to be included in our organization. Diversity, equity, and inclusion means we're going to stack the deck in favor of the diverse people over potentially more qualified candidates just to meet a quota.
That's what should have been from day one, but they didn't do that because they put some type of weird quota at a certain amount of time, so it made it much more difficult to find them in time because there was probably not enough minorities that fell into that category in a certain amount of time. So what they did, they just pretty much hired anyone who just had some inkling of what they were supposed to be doing, but then wasn't qualified enough to do it. So that's where this problem is probably coming from.
Samurai.
So
Meep.
that's the issue right there. That quota thing was probably I won't say the main reason,
leathers.
but one of the main
Meep.
reasons. Because when you have it's like homework, right? When you have a certain amount, like if you're in college and if you take a lot of like say
leathers.
college electives,
Like the Amorosa lady.
yeah, like if you take a lot of college electives, right? In college they tell you don't take so many courses, because you can get burnt out pretty easily. Now I know comparing college electives and courses to a conglomerate of a corporate
No
business is not
Came
the same.
for the learning, stayed for the chat.
But it's not the same. It's not technically the same, but it's just a metaphor to say. So if you have so many courses, that means you have so many deadlines to follow. And it's going to get to a point where you have to prioritize which deadlines are more important than others, not only just based on their date importance, but also just overall what their majors are for. So the issue is that if you have to get a certain amount of like minorities by like, I don't know, by next month, right? And that's just a small window to get so many that are somewhat qualified, or at least qualified in general. What's going to happen? They're going to fudge the numbers and get a bunch of them, and then take people who kind of know what they're doing, and then say, look, we got these many minorities, we are diverse, right? When you have such a small window. Now, I'm not saying that's the main reason, but that's part of the reasons why might be happening and why they're not profiting from this. This is why this causes too much resentment and problem, and this is why we can come out and say, oh, you're just a diversity hire. That's an insult now. Now saying that you have DEI working on your behalf is an insult.
Welcome to the stream. No.
Because it's like saying, oh, you're only here because you're you're only here because you're a handicapped.
Moral
right?
leathers.
That's that response
Found a
is.
jumping spider from last time, smiling face.
That's why you shouldn't have programs like this, because it undermines the idea of what a diversity hire is. It literally just undermines their whole existence. I think if I remember right, Donald Glover said this. I think he said that Tina Fey from 30 Rock told him that he was technically a diversity hire, like outright. I think he was on an interview and he was told that. I don't know how true that was, or he was joking, but he seemed like he was dead serious in the response. It turned out in his favor because he was actually talented and funny in the show and all that stuff. I didn't really watch the show, but I can tell that he does a great job. And he was on Spider-Man and all that stuff, so he's a good actor to a very high degree. So even though he was considered a diversity hire, he knew what he was doing based on his talents and all that other stuff. So
hey yo,
hey Mew, hello. So like that's where the diversity thing is a problem. That's true. Notification is what byte late, and I came through his call. But yeah, so that's that issue why DEI, I don't like it, because it undermines minorities, where you're Asian, African American, indigenous individual, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. It just undermines their whole existence. That's why I don't like the idea of DEI, ESG.
But even then, because based on what you're saying, people, there's that because their own language and their own way they're trying to portray it. People are immediately assuming if someone's hired that's diverse, it's because they have the equity, the E, and it's maybe because they actually were the most qualified. So you see how it causes damage to people who are diverse but are actually qualified?
See?
Yeah.
It causes a lot of damage, and it's actually causing more division.
For those who are listening to what I'm saying.
UXX. Sent FB messages. I'm about to leave in a few.
Okay.
more
For those-
racism,
for
more,
those who are-
whatever,
For
exclusionary
those who are
behavior
listening to what
than
I'm
it did
saying,
before when you
by
just hired
using
people
you have
commands
no
like
idea what
qualified
I'm
that
talking
happen to be
about,
diverse.
you have to come over here
DEI
on
has nothing
YouTube.
but, make the problem 100 times
The
worse.
horizontal version.
So this is interesting. There are multiple stories and everybody's freaking out.
No
They're all
luck.
like, it's the right wing. They're
Thanks,
caving to
thumbs up.
right wing pressure. I'm also like,
Moral
People are
leathers.
the target demographic.
It's more like a
Sorry.
diss and a
John
slur
Deere
now than actually
comes
a title
from
of
the
good standing.
Midwest. Guess
Yes.
who uses John Deere tractors the most?
This isn't Starbucks.
Yeah, it's a slur now. So when you can go up to someone and say you're a DEI hire, it undermines their whole existence, and I don't like that because it's an attack on their hard work to a certain extent because we don't have a camera following you around knowing if you're a diversity hire or someone who happens to be diverse, who is non-white, and we don't know if you actually was hired for your actual merits or you was hired because they just need to fit a quota and you just happen to fit in a box, whether you're a woman, a person of color, or anything close to the fact.
Mr. Thanks. Oh. Moral lathers. Well, the people that allow us to happen is kind of their fault if they didn't really speak up about it. Silence is kind of an agreement from this point, but I understand where you're coming from.
Silence is
Mr.
an agreement
Thanks.
to a certain extent, but
I see everything now.
But the thing is like what makes this hard, and I have to be fair to the people who don't speak up, because you have to look at it in this sense. If you're the only one who speaks up and things go wrong for you and no one, it's like in movies, in those early 2000 movies when the hero or the main character does something, especially in comedies, and they stand up for themselves and everyone starts clapping, that one person starts clapping and then everyone starts clapping. That's what happens. But there is those situations in those comedy movies where a person will be clapping for the hero who said something probably funny or probably insane or something to that extent, and he's just the one clapping and no one stops. I think it was in that one movie called Oh No, Not Another Teenage Movie, if those of you know who I'm talking about. It's a funny movie. It's supposed to make fun of like other movies. It's like parodies, like Scary Movie 1, 2, 3,
Moral
4.
lathers.
Um,
Yeah, I know they don't want to lose their job, but not a lot. People can replace all positions as a DEI person, and the company is gonna feel it more than actually the person.
yeah, and that's where that problem comes in. So no one wants to be the hero because we all know what
No
happens when you're the nail that
Yeah,
sticks
I
up.
remember that one.
Because yeah, see, no, Luck knows what I'm talking about. So no one wants to be.
Mr. Thanks. I agree with
both
of you.
Yeah, so you have to look at it on both ends of the diversity hire and the people who are not speaking up. Because if you speak up, you're the nail that can be hammered. The only time it works is when everyone comes as a collective and have a legitimate reason why this is not working. Because it's like this. Funny is this. If everyone says the slur, no one says anything wrong, right? But if one person says the slur, the DEI slur, like you're a DEI hire, if everyone in the company says that you can't fire everyone, right? It's like, I think this was like a school thing. I don't know if they still do this in school, where the class know they don't like the homework or the tests, so they'll all fail. So if we all fail as a collective, no one's getting in trouble, right? Now the teacher will look at it as like, man, maybe I fucked up on this lesson. Maybe I didn't do a good job teaching these kids or preparing them for the test, right? But if everyone fails and one gets an A, the only thing that tells the teacher is, oh, these kids are just dumb, or they're just lazy, or they did this collectively, because it's really weird for everyone to get an F. Not even someone got a C, a D, a E, or a B. All you got F except one. That's a little suspicious. But if everyone gets an F, it's still suspicious, but it's very odd. So the teacher will look back and reflect and say, okay, maybe I did something wrong here, So that's technically what happened here. So
Mr. Thanks. Oh no, the school really gave up on us generation.
yeah. So that's pretty much what that truly is. Hold on. The girlfriend is amazing. I got to. Okay, sorry about that. I had to answer that. That was his girlfriend. Okay, so she's being funny. So yeah, that's
Snipe it.
pretty much what that was.
Be a
So.
support hero
Starbucks
today.
people.
This
isn't
isn't
like,
Starbucks.
or some,
And
one
even
that,
Starbucks kind of
yeah, I know, but I'm saying,
cool off a little bit, right?
but it's not some company that tends to have an audience that are more diverse in general. I'm not saying that John Deere doesn't have a diverse audience because they're global. I'm saying, and there's a lot of people who aren't white that are farmers. I'm saying that their audience as a whole, the larger demographic of their audience usually tends to lean.
I'm still listening. Good.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
that's just the way it is.
They were looking for that massive untapped market of drag queen farmers.
Just to be clear, for those who are on YouTube Shorts, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you see I'm just randomly talking out of nowhere, that's not the case. We're doing a reaction while I'm doing these streams. So if you want to watch what we're looking at, just come over here on YouTube. Not YouTube Shorts. There are two different things. It's still on YouTube, but just not on YouTube Shorts. You won't be able to hear it or see it for obvious reasons. So come over here on YouTube Horizontal. I refer to it because you're watching in a horizontal like normal, like a regular stream. But if you want to stay over there, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to come over here. I'm just giving you context. So when you hear me just talk out of literally nowhere, out of silence, that's the reason. Because I'm listening as I'm watching. And I'm still reading your guys' messages. It's just that I have to do two things at once.
Mr. Thanks.
Three. So.
Yes, come join us.
So if you want to be part
here.
of the conversation, whether you agree or disagree, come over here because all opinions are welcome. Just be respectful. That's all I'm saying. So, and look at it and take it objectively. Don't take it as a personal attack. If you find yourself in this particular situation when it comes to DEI or you work for a company or whatever the case may be. Oh, let me play that. Sorry.
That's out there. It's just like, I mean, there's so many of them out there, and they're under, like, I'm sure there are drag farmers.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I'm sure there are, right? I'm not saying there's not. And if you're a drag farmer, I salute you because that's a lot of work, to work 16.
It just sounds unnecessary work, to be honest. But hey, that's just me.
Do it in heels.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. 16, 18 hours a day in heels. I mean, come on. But no, it's like, I mean, they know their target demographic, and same with Tractor Supply. They're walking it back too. Now, it's interesting how they're spinning it. They're like, well, it's not a complete win for the right wing because they said they're not abandoning their diversity efforts entirely. No, listen to what they're saying. They're basically saying we're going back to EOE, equal opportunity employment. We will hire.
That should have been what it's been actually called. But the diversity thing caused too much headache because everything and anything can be diverse. The only thing they're looking for is non-white men. That's it.
Mr. Thanks.
That's it.
Oh.
That's what ultimately what DEI is. It's an ESG, well, just DEI specifically. It's mainly not white man, or specifically non-white man who is not either or heterosexual. That's literally what they're saying 9 times out of 10.
People to work
or non-man in general.
Us, but we're not going to have the equity, the quota, the stack in the deck in favor of. And I think they're just going to go back to. It's called normal. It's called going back to normal, where you hire the most qualified person, regardless of their gender, their skin tone, their religion, their whatever. That is what is best for the organization.
See, this is why I always look at it this way. I always say that if I'm going to hire a plumber, I don't give a shit if he's even a KKK or a racist or anything. If the dude can do his job and fix the pipe that I asked him to fix, I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Money is green and everyone else is different colors, right? So even race has got money, right? So if the plumber I'm asking to do, it's worse to have a plumber.
There's a fine line between the policies, the people who uphold policies, and people forming some aspect of self-identity via said policies.
Yes, there is a difference. But it's like this. If I'd rather get a plumber who does his job. I don't care if he's a racist or not, or a conservative, or a Republican, or where the fuck, or even a liberal. If he does his job, that's all that matters. I don't care what he does in his free time. I don't care what he posts on social media. I don't care if he hates minorities. I do not care. If he does his job and that's what he came for do, and he did a great job where I don't have to call him again, I win.
Green is the only color that really
matters. Thank you. That's all that matters. But I'd rather hire that person than hire the person who's free love and everything, and okay, we can go with everything and anything, and super liberal on everything. And then when I call them to come to the job, they go by so many thousand different pronouns and this, that, and third, and they have all these different problems and this, that, and third. And then when you ask them to do it, you're oppressing them to do their actual fucking job. You know what I'm saying? That's what I said way back a couple days ago. If I was a new CEO or a manager at a game company and I found out my employees are just tweeting all the time, I will fire them. Because if they're not tweeting about the game, progress in the game, promoting the game, something about the game we're working on, and your thing is about Trump or is about some political take, something about Sweet Baby Inc., you're getting the fuck fired. I don't give a shit. You've been here for 30 years. If you're not doing your job, get the fuck out. That's the whole point. Do your job. I do not care. I don't care you have 10 children. I don't care you have one leg.
Mr.
I don't care you're from indigenous whatever.
We will never be normal in the first places, but you all right there?
We will never be normal in the first place, but you all right there? What do you mean? But like the point is, do your job. Came here where you put your where you came and gave your resume, not what you know. Well, we know what you know based on what the job entails, but that's it.
Stacking the deck in
What
favor
happened to that?
of certain demographics just because they're that particular thing does not help your organization, because you are going to let unqualified people through. And this is how I personally think all these activists snuck into these companies, because they were not qualified to be there and they were not being filtered out.
Nope.
Normally they would have been filtered out. Like, yeah, you don't have any qualifications. You just want to bitch on Twitter all day. Like, nope. And no, they let them in. They're like, oh, okay, well, you're...
I think Kevin O'Leary said it the best when I was watching Decoy Voice. What's going to happen now, because the rise of AI is so much, it's getting more advanced every other month or so. He said, the activists that you see now who are doing all this bullshit is going to regret everything they have done, because AI exists, they can actually like scan your face, and they're already doing this in China already. So like it's not like it's not existing. So what they're going to do is bring this technology more into the forefront in America. And if you've been known to do a lot of arson and a lot of fucking activist shit that doesn't make the company money, or your potential employer trying to employ you for their company that does have nothing to things that you did in the past, has nothing to do with anything that you stand for, that doesn't bring them money but brings them headache, loss, and just a bunch of fuckery, they can scan your shit. They don't even need your social media. They just need your face. And then they'll just connect your face to your social media by almost instantly. And if they find your face in a video somewhere that it shouldn't be, they'll just won't hire you. They won't even tell you. They'll just fucking not hire you. They'll just say you're not qualified. That's it. Or we don't have enough positions. They'll just say that. They don't have to outright tell you. That's how that works. So when most of these activists think they're gonna still have a job after the fact, even when there was being called in,
Mr. Thanks. Well, I'm K because I got no green because of my childhood issues.
No monies, got no money. But most people don't have no money, so that's not technically a thing, unless you're not doing anything insane. If you have childhood issues, that's a personal thing. But if you're doing things that will get you like incriminized or be spotted doing something you shouldn't, then you're screwed. But like this is why they say be careful what you post on the internet, because what you post on the internet will bite you in the ass. It'll eventually bite you in the ass. So that's why you should be very careful, especially if it's like political
No
takes.
luck. Normal is overrated.
So it is what it is.
Gay and like Samoan and pansexual. Sure, you spend a lot of time on
I don't
Twitter.
think normal's overrated. We just need to bring back shaming. I think shaming has been lost for a very long time. The lack of shame is a problem, because the less shame, people will do bullshit. It's like, let me use an example. Like it's like the kick streamers, right? Most kick streamers, not all, I'm not gonna say all of them, but so far as we've seen, for those who have been on the internet long enough, you've seen that most kick streamers are pretty much degenerates who just does anything just for the sake of money, right? And if their audience didn't shame them, they wouldn't do it. Or if these companies were a lot more vigilant on the shaming, or at least doesn't give them somewhat of a platform to grow an audience to be so degenerate, most of the time they wouldn't like Johnny Salami, I think is his name, at the time when he was attacking Asian people back in their country in Japan. If the shaming was real on his behalf with
No luck.
his audience.
Oh Lord, I know what you're talking about. It's pretty awful.
Yeah, if the shaming from his audience had more, like if we had more common sense and sense of morals, a lot of people wouldn't have went to go see what Johnny Salami was doing. They would say, "Dude, you're not. This is not cool." But because there's people who have the love of anarchy, not the fact that they want to hurt. It's just they like the idea of destruction in some form. They will pay him. That's why he was able to go from Japan to Israel and back and forth, because his followers likes the bullshit. It's not like him, or I don't even think they even want destruction. I don't want like anyone to be hurt. It's just they want to see how much they can push Johnny to go beyond and above to keep doing this. And this is where I call this the jackass syndrome. Because with the jackass syndrome, it's like, hello, my name is Johnny Knoxville, and this is this ridiculous thing we're doing. And I said this, I think, 2 days ago, where it started in the backyard with a camera. Now it's a franchise, right? That's hard to do, to up yourself many times when it comes to physical pain like that, right? But remember, the internet wasn't the internet. So something like this was a phenomenon at its time in the early 90s. But now, because everyone has a camera,
Thanks.
everyone has a phone.
Nah, I'm all good here. I find a good family who is willing to help me. Which I did, and I'm forever grateful to them for all things they did to help me.
That's good. That's good. You should applaud them. Thank you. That's good. That's good. Awesome. But like you should really thank them. Always keep them in your prayers. But it's like, how far can I keep going till people get bored? This is why slow and consistent is better than fast and profitable. Because fast and profitable usually means some outrageous nonsense. Look at Book Gang. I think that was his name. Book Gang. His thing back in I think 2017. I think it was 2014 to 2017, 2018. He was doing this thing where he will take his camera. I think most of you know what I'm talking about. I think he's somewhat of a rapper. I think he found God now. I'm not sure yet. He will take people's stuff, grab it, and run away and say Boot Gang over and over again, because it was him promoting himself, being a crazy person.
Yeah.
And then after a while of him doing it for, I think, 7 to 8 times, I think a little bit more of that, about 10 to 15 times of doing that, he started really getting more traction of people seeing if he will do it again. And he will put himself in major danger. I think there was one when he went up to some gang members, some Hispanic gang members, and went up to their food.
Great support makes a good hero.
Yeah, because they went to, I think he went up to their barbecue. They was having a barbecue, and he walked up onto their place, and I think he took one of their burgers and ran, or something like that, and they chased him. I don't know if there was real gang members or he paid them to do to chase him, because sometimes these things are pretty much staged, so you can never really tell with these people. But it set a precedent for young people to say, "Ooh, I know how to get famous now. I just fuck with people," right? This is why the Kick streamers, I wouldn't say this is because of Kick, because Kick didn't exist at this time or wasn't even known at all. But it's attitudes like that make the long term for other kids to think that's what people want, or what companies want you to do. That degenerate nonsense that can put you at harm's way in others. Right, there was one with a woman, a young girl, who convinced this mentally ill woman to go into the lake, who couldn't swim. I think we all heard that one by now. I think everyone has heard of that one.
Mr. Thanks. And sue the hell out my blood-related the so-called family. Gotta say, I love the smell of revenge and money's baby.
I got you. So like, I think she convinced a mentally ill woman who, I think she was really old. I think she was like in her 50s. She looked like she was in her 50s. Like late 40s, early 50s, probably like 50s, mid 50s. And she went in the water, and the woman didn't know how to swim. So I guess the woman was under the impression that the girl was going to go in there with her, at least help her, but she didn't. So she proved to her whole audience that she was a piece of shit. And not only that she left, they had to send the fire team to go get her.
I love the Elmo PFP.
So that's pretty much what that was. So it's that type of attitude that can bring a bad precedent to a website or a certain group of people who think that's okay, which we need to bring shaming back, because shaming, we have too much of activists making everything normalized, You can't normalize every fucking thing, because when you normalize every fucking thing, there's no limiter, right? And when there's no limiter, you bring everything and everything. You bring all the degenerate, you bring all the insane, the probably the mentally unwell, and they feel like because I can't get in trouble now, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Moral lathers.
That's where that comes from.
Every time I see that profile picture anywhere, I think of internal range, but in a childlike manner, but still destructive nonetheless. No luck. Wavy dash. Mr. Thanks. LOL, thank you, sweetheart. It matches how chaotic I am, LOL. Beanbag. Hi bri. Moral lathers. Bien.
But whatever,
Beanbag.
come on over, because we need somebody like you. And
Beanbag.
We got three for on that one.
We got three for, right? Okay, check. And then the white HR manager can go back to the white CEO and
get a bonus for
that,
That's
right?
What they do at Disney.
That's what they do at Disney. Yeah, it's just check.
According to the O'Keefe videos.
Yeah, I got a three for that. And then currently related, Bud Light losing. And look, we didn't do the Bud Light thing because I think the Bud Light thing, I think, was kind of blown out of proportion because it was just like a viral video thing. In this case, though, like, the bigger story is all these companies are walking it back. Now, I am hearing that a lot of the more progressive companies are just going to try to call it something else.
Yes.
There's bridge, I guess, is going.
Yeah, that's what ultimately what's going to happen. This is not going to go away. As much as I would want it to go away, it's not going to go away. What's going to happen is just going to rebrand itself. Or they're going to take a few months or a few years probably and bring this back into fruition. Just under a different branding name, whatever. This is what they do. Because the ideology, because remember, this is not about, it's about profit, yes, but ultimately this is an ideology. This is a religion to a certain extent to them. So if you let the religion die, everything that they have done has been to shit, alongside losing profits. So what they're going to do is rebrand it. It's like Christianity. It's like when Christianity wasn't working the way it was back then, what did Christians do? They tried to make it more acceptable to everyone, in the sense of like making Jesus look cool and wear a back well, in the conservative days in the early 2000s, they try to make Jesus wear like a backward fitted cap and look cool and
I'm just doing anything that is necessary need to help people be better in the worst way possible, but it does work well.
And then he's like skateboarding and talking like lingo and shit. I don't think that makes much sense to do, to make Jesus look cool to be appealing to kids. I think you should just leave it as is. I know that a lot of people like that type of thing, but I don't think it works.
Going around, which is like, it's the same thing, but they're going to try to do it on the down low. But I don't see a company like John Deere tractor or tractors.
It's like when I explained this to my mom. She didn't get this back in the day, but she now understands it now, and she can see what I was talking about. My mom's pretty religious, right? And she asked me a question which I didn't find annoying. I just find it funny.
Under techno-feudalism, I pray to robot Jeep bus.
And then she said to me, why don't you listen to like Christian rap or Christian music? I'm like, why do I have to listen to Christian rap, Christian music to know the Jesus? That's like asking my grandpa to wear some fitted clothes and wear true religions and shit like that so I can relate to him.
The Bible be bussing FRFR on God.
On God, right? So like I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think that's something that is, if Jesus works as you claim, if religion works as claim, you don't need to change a thing. Leave it alone, right? It's been around for 1,000,000 years. It doesn't make any difference if Jesus wore a fitted cap backwards. It's not going to make a difference because it leads back to the same fucking thing anyway. So just repackaging it and rebranding it doesn't make sense. If 2 + 2 = 4, it doesn't matter if the 4 is diverse or not. We know it's fucking 4. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to listen to Jesus rap to understand Jesus. If Jesus, once you get to that certain point in life, you will come to Jesus eventually. You will come to a Jesus moment one way or another, whether you do or don't. That's up to you. But like, you don't have to listen to a song to relate to Jesus. Or if you're a different religion, you don't have to listen to a song to relate to it, right? If it works, it will work, right? That's how you should look at it. That's why I told her this. At first, she didn't like it very much when I said this, but I think she was listening to a preacher named what's his name? What's his name? Gino. A person named Gino. I forgot his name. Gino something. He's a black guy, and he was giving some type of Bible advice, and I think someone sent him a message saying, "Why don't you play like more?" Or get the youth to get into like Christian rap or Christian rock and Christian metal. And he said, I don't need to do that
Moral
shit.
Lathers.
That's dumb.
Bri.
Why do I need
XD
to?
know you saw that
Why
too.
do I need to morph the religion to fit your needs? Right? That doesn't make any sense. If something totally works, and he said this, and I said the same thing. If something totally works as is without no change, it will work whether it's here or down the street. I don't need to morph it for it to go down the street. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to morph how it looks for it to go down the street. If it worked normally and naturally how it was, it'll work down the street as normal, right? That's how that is. So she kind of got that, and it took a fucking YouTube video / preacher to say the same thing I said, but she didn't see it that way because she just saw it as a young person speaking. But when she saw it and she listened to what he said, which is annoying,
Moral Lathers.
she...
God was saying Mary passed the vibe check, she's real bad down XD face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy.
She actually came into it and apologized to me about getting upset at me about it. She said she understands what I was talking about.
Supply.
Sad, but
or tractor, or tractors are us. Or
Ryan
Well, they're
Goss
talking about
Emra.
tractor supplies.
Tractor
They
motor.
have to mean like the higher up positions, because I know for a fact at the tractor supply that to get a job there, you have to kind of know how to use. You have to have like a farming background a lot of times, because they want to make sure that you know what to sell people. People come in looking for something, you have to know what it is. You know what I mean?
No
Yeah.
luck.
I know for a fact that one of
I
their
had the same
qualifications has been,
conversation
you know,
before.
do you have experience
Someone
in this
once
area?
told me it's called the bartender effect.
Bartender effect. Can you explain that? I would like to hear that. Bartender effect.
Area, because they went with some experience. It's like you would hire somebody at like a hardware store that knew how to help somebody who came in. It's like that. So if they're talking about some of these things, they have to be meaning at the, you know, higher management and up level marketing, social media levels, because in the store, the front facing, you know, people have to have experience, whether you be male, female, not white, you know, whatever. You have to have experience working with the equipment and stuff, because they want to make sure that when someone comes in needing something, you know what they're talking about.
By the bartender
I know that one for a fact. At least the ones around me.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of, well, I know back in the, like, this is apples and oranges, but like, you wanted to work at a record store, you had to actually listen to music, you had to know your stuff, because people are going to ask for specific albums, you know. And it's like a whole, work in a comic shop, it helps to know something about comic books, just like that. But yeah, so apparently they had an interview with this come from AOL, and they had criticism. See, I didn't know anything about this because I am not a regular tractor user. But they had
do like
a lot.
Tractor Supply a lot, though.
We do
No
go to
luck.
Tractor Supply, but
I do like
Advice from
they
a
said, yeah,
stranger
Tractor
or
Supply's
bartender
walking it
slaps
back. John
harder
Deere's
than
walking.
from your 7-year-old toddler brother, even if they're saying the same thing as the bartender.
Oh, okay. It's like a bias thing. I get it. It's like, oh, if I hear it from my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, it's just my sister, my brother, my family just talking. They just don't understand. But if I hear it from my friend, right, it's a whole different ball game. So like, if I listen to my dad and say my dad said, "Oh, you're such a hothead. You always get mad so quick. Why do you get so frustrated?" All I'm hearing is my dad being an ass, right? But if I hear it from my
No luck. Similar to poison well.
So like, if I listen to my friend or a girlfriend and she says the same thing, or no, a crush, let's put it that way. I put my crush and my crush said something similar to what my dad said, I'm going to listen more to the crush than my dad because I have a bias against my father. Is that what that is? Is that what ultimately what that means? The bartender effect, if I'm picking up that correctly, if that's right.
It back. They had an
Moral
interview with
letters.
filmmaker
Okay,
Robbie Starbuck.
advice is
He talked to the
advice.
Wall Street
No
Journal.
matter, it just depends on how you interpret it and use it.
Yeah, but
I think I got that right.
Yes, but what I think what luck means is like I think this is what I'm picking up. It's like a bias thing at the time of your
No luck. Essentially, also similar to the poison well fallacy.
So it's technically a bias? Is that what that is? Am I picking that up right, or am I wrong? Because I feel like it's a bias thing. Like if all my mod says to me, if all my mod said, Jace, you need to, pull back on the punches on the things you say. If all of them are saying, from Bry to Mora to Ari and Bean and even Sound and John and Mike, if they all say this.
No luck.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Okay, so if they're
No
all
luck.
saying it, I'm gonna see it like,
Yeah.
oh, my mods don't know what they're talking about. They're just being biased against me. But if someone like my art teacher, say I had an art teacher, right, said the same exact thing, it'll be like, oh damn, maybe I'm the problem. It's like a reflection thing, but it only hits you when it's not a bias confirmation on your behalf.
And he said Tractor Supply had proved a model for
I.e.
pressuring other firms to
789.
re-examine
It's
their
like more circumstantial
Hi, Artex.
on a natural. Hey, Glass. It's more of a circumstantial situation, I guess.
stances. And in the wake of Deere's announcement, Starbucks posted on X.
Starbucks. Oh,
No,
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Okay,
No,
never mind.
Starbucks would never. They'd never be like, yes, they're just like do it on the down low,
Starbuck. Hey, yeah, he said
Yeah.
his name was Starbuck.
Robbie
I thought that was weird.
Starbuck.
Sorry.
Kind of like Starbuck from
Yeah, that was
Battlestar
from-
Galactica.
Yeah, Galactica.
Yeah, posted on X Wednesday a series of screenshots showing the news of the message. Wall Street is on notice. Corporate
luck.
America is afraid of you.
LOL, it's
I'm
too
just
real,
your
Roy.
instrument. Every woke
Maurice.
company is
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot.
wondering if they're next. I think it's just business. I think it's just they're going to take the most sensational quote because they're pissed.
Well, here's the thing you have to understand too. There's a difference between diversity, and inclusion and wokeness. There's a difference. Like wokeness, I think when they refer to wokeness, they're referring to overtly being over the top, like pushing agendas out there publicly and slapping people in the
so
face
I
with
consider something woke is when it's forced and not needed. Like let's put it on like a conservative way. Like, so if I'm watching like say I'm watching I don't know, Dragon Ball Z, and for some odd reason they start bringing up Jesus and God out of nowhere when these characters has never been mentioned at all or have any inkling to the universe at all in that sense. Yeah, there's gods, but we're talking about the Christian gods specifically. I will find this kind of woke because I'm like, what the fuck is this? This has nothing to, like, this show is not for that. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm watching, like, say, a liberal show that's pushing, I don't know, I'm watching a show like, I don't know, fucking Riverdale. Let's just use Riverdale. And they're pushing very insane topics that didn't have nothing to do with the story in the slightest. Yes, they have some diversity and stuff like that falls into the story that makes sense, but when it's just some out-of-line bullshit thing that doesn't make a heap of sense and just pushing it, I consider that woke. So it can go woke, both conservative and liberal on both ends. It's not just liberal alone. Conservative ideology can be woke in its own right as well. It's just that because if you say I'm conservative or Republican, you're already ousted by almost instantly. So there's no sense of wokeness on that behalf, because as soon as you say you're this thing, you are already enemy number one to the main audience.
Hey Artex, don't you love when you draw on the wrong layer?
Oh,
I hate that. I know that feeling.
Stuff like that. I think if you're I don't think all diversity and inclusion is wokeness. There's a difference. I think people don't understand that. Just because you're trying to make sure that you have some diverse people working for you does not mean you're woke.
Yeah, and they're like, even the start.
I honestly don't think that's technically woke. I don't think that's woke. But when you make it a mandatory thing, that's when it gets woke, because that's when you're just taking anyone just to say that you are, and that's not genuine at all. That's why I will always tell my mom I'm not gonna listen to Christian rap or Christian rock or Christian whatever the fuck, because I'm just doing it because you told me to or you asked me to. I'm not doing it because I want to. You'll be surprised how much when people are naturally inclined to do something, they'll go far and beyond unnatural ability just to help you out or do something for you. But when you demand them to do it, this is why when I say like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment, if you like this, please hit the subscribe. But if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. You can even hit the dislike button if you like, but you don't have to press anything, right? When you give people an option like that, they'll most likely do it by the sense that they got something out of your video, whether it's information, entertainment, or something in that fact. They got something from you that they couldn't get from their family or a show or something like that. So a lot of people do this a lot when they come to my streams.
Hello, everyone.
They like how I explain things when it comes to art stuff. So that's something that they couldn't get if they
Stream
were to
elements.
buy that. So that's something you
Thank
should
you
keep
for
that in
following
mind.
Shrimp B underscore.
So when
Smiley
when you
face.
give people options, they
Bot
feel
Rick's
more inclined
official.
to help you out.
Be a support
But
hero
when you
today.
demand them to do
By
it,
using
I'm
commands
looking at you,
like
Larry Fink,
/donation
and you have
/cash
to
app.
force a behavior. You're gonna get a backlash like the fury of God.
Afternoon teach.
Hell,
Ryaga Samurai.
Come from
I
USA
don't like
Today.
using that word.
Well, they're talking that because
Be a support hero today.
they're angry that companies are walking it back.
Like
Yeah, they're pissed,
donation
which is
and
all worth it for me.
/cash
Right.
app.
Just because it's like, because I want to see DEI gone. Because I want to see DEI gone because
And
I
this
think
is why a lot of activists don't get this. They think if we force
How are you, Teach?
therefore. I'm doing well, Muno. Thank you, and hello, Ari. I hope you're doing well. What about you, bro? This is why the new activists of today don't get this. They feel like you have to do what I say. If you don't, you're that thing, right? And if you don't follow, this is from game journalists to the
Hello.
to the war that's going on in the Middle East, and to the the climate change people. They think if you become a nuisance,
Reactions
you'll
with
eventually move.
Artextric.
What that's gonna do is going to just totally go away. She's not here today. It's not gonna work. It just doesn't work. What you're gonna do is make more enemies than allies. That's where the fucked up part comes in. You can't force people for your cause. You can give them a sense of reason for your cause and give them the chance to use critical thinking to think if this is going to benefit them, their family, their community in that sense. But once you just go off and just say,
voice.
"Oh, you have to do it," no, you heard the thing. She's not here today. When you go off just based on you have to, therefore, nah, it's not gonna work.
I think it's more harm than good. It's actually hurting people.
This is why you never tell your significant other to tell you love them. Like, tell me you love me. Because that's a trap to anyone. If whether you're a girl or boy or what you ever fucking identify, I don't give a shit. When you tell your significant other, tell me you love me, it will never feel normal now in the next, depending on how many times you keep doing it. It's just not real.
All cartoons did a great job at this socially Looney Tunes. They didn't hold your hand, tell you what to do. They gave you a chance to think through what's going on in the show, sometimes with no word.
Well, sometimes there was some propaganda stuff that was in Looney Tunes and stuff, but that's prevalent. If you go back in like old Disney, old Disney cartoons, they had some propaganda stuff about the Japanese and stuff. This is like around World War II at the time. So yeah, that was a thing, but it was not something that was like, I don't think it was like pushed too much, but it was pushed at one point. But it was ever, I think there's like 3 or 4 shows that was pushing propaganda to a certain extent, both on Disney and Looney Tunes, but they're all banned and gone now. So
Meep 3. Moral Lathers. Yeah, it was propaganda, but like they didn't say you need to choose a side, like how today if you're not with me you're against me kind of vibe they give off.
I wouldn't say that to that extent. I wouldn't say that to that full
Moral
extent.
Lathers. Meep 3.
You will meet an opposition when you do something like that back in those days, but it wouldn't be on the same as if today, like if you were to say, I'm for this particular stance, you won't get canceled. You just piss off the people in your neighborhood. And 9 times out of 10 to fix that, you can just say, I'm sorry.
Meep 3.
back in the day. You can just say, I was sorry, that hot take wasn't cool, or whatever case may be. Maybe it was not, I said the wrong thing. And most people would just take it and moved on because it was in your neighborhood, right? You didn't have to pay your dues to the whole internet because you made a hot take they didn't like. Because even if you said a hot take that people don't like or don't agree with, even if you said you're sorry, they're not going to believe you. So might as well not even bother. Now, you can say sorry still, but don't expect everyone just to be okay with you after that. There's just some people who will stay on hatred on you because you said that one thing, and they'll never ever forgive you for it. So
true, but they won't outright trying and violence you in the workplace.
True. Well, I don't know about the workplace part, but they'll try fuck with you. I don't know about the violence part, but but I wouldn't put it past them. People are crazy.
Yeah,
it's actually make people mad at each other when they weren't like 10 years ago.
So the original title of this article, which they changed it, was it was actually called DEI Workplace Trump Vance Impact. And then they renamed it to DEI Efforts Maybe Under Attack. But companies
just break the knee and walk away.
These aren't retreating from commitments. We're still winning. We're still winning, guys. And they might be. Some of them are just going to repackage it because it's not palatable. But I do not think you're going to see, especially if the orange one comes back in the fall. The second coming of the orange one.
You can say Trump because they said it in their article title. Are we allowed to say that?
Okay.
If Trump gets back in.
Yeah. So if Trump gets back in, I don't think you're going to see as many companies tripping over themselves to post the right thing on social media because there have been financial repercussions. And even if they, in a lot of cases, they don't believe it. Let's be honest. They don't believe it. They're like, oh, hey, it's June. We can sell rainbow merch.
Yes, they don't believe that. Like, let's be honest. I'm not trying to be mean to people of the rainbow flag. But let's just call it for what it is. Majority of these companies are not here for you. They're just here to make a fucking profit. You are the new Christmas. That's literally what that is. Your whole flag is the Christmas. It's Christmas to them or another holiday to sell merch. That's literally what that fucking thing is. It's
the return of the orange one, LOL.
The return of the orange one. It's not because they love you or care about you or stuff. They're just using the flag to get to point A to point B to make a profit. Because I think this happened a few months ago, even in Pride, some companies said they're not going to do it because it's just too much of a headache. They said this. I think Target was one of them, given what happened to them a year ago, or I think it was 2 years ago. I think it was a year or two ago. But like after that, they said, "Nah, we're not fucking with that." So majority of them aren't there because they care so much about representation or the flag or even minorities. They just need to make a profit. Once they realize they can't make a profit, once they look at their projections or their analytics or whatever the case may be and see they're not going to make as much as they did like the following month or previous months or even the last year, they don't fuck with it. It is what it is. Disney did this with something Bimboya. I forgot his name. The dude who played Finn in Star Wars. They either masked him out or they made him extremely small on the poster for China, because Disney know if he was up onto the poster, it would make less sales for them to go watch the movie, right?
Tangerine wavy dash tangerine.
What they did is they made his character more smaller into the background of the poster than what it was in the U.S. version. In the U.S. version, he's up and center with the main cast, but in the Chinese version of the poster, he is super small that you can hardly ever see him. Same thing with Black Panther. They did it with Boldman, Chadwick Boldman, Chad. Let's go. But anyway, so with his face, in the U.S. version, it was just his face in the Black Panther outfit, and for the Marvel movie for Black Panther. For the Chinese version, they had his face completely covered in the Black Panther mask. So they don't do this because they care about minorities. They don't care this because they like flags or anything like that.
Global marketing is kind of a show.
Yeah, it's a show. So 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do it because they care. They do it because they're trying to make a profit. That's what a business is. So no matter how much you want to gaslight yourself so much, they say, oh, they care about my representation. They care about the seeing me. They don't give a fuck. They want to make money. If they know that if your representation makes them 33% less or even beyond that, they're not fucking with it. But once they can make a little bit more, like 10% higher from last month, they'll fuck with it. That's the only thing. Once it goes under that so-called margin or that threshold of what they expect that money to get back, now that ROI, that return on investment, they ain't fucking with it. It is what it is.
Like, you know, Black History Month or Women's History Month or whatever, just to sell more shit. They don't really care. They just want to sell shit.
Yes, they just
So
want to
they're
sell
talking
shit.
about there's been backlash on the Supreme Court level, and they're talking, you know, lawsuits. I think you mentioned O'Keefe with Disney. I mean, if it comes out that Disney has been actively discriminating against white dudes because they didn't meet the equity quotient of the DEI, then there could potentially be a lawsuit or multiple lawsuits. So I think they're just trying to be smart fiscally about it. And basically, look, the ESG money, the free money, the venture capital has run out. And now you actually have to turn a profit, and you know, alienating your customers because your 22-year-old activist social media manager thinks it's cool. And I think that's what happened. I think a lot of these companies were asleep at the wheel, and they're like, well, Susie, they, them, has been telling us for 6 months that, you know, there's this untapped farmer drag queen market, and we should listen to Susie because Susie knows what's what, because Susie's got a lot of followers on social media, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just some crusty 65-year-old dude. I don't know. I'll listen to Susie. And then we've watched the whole freaking business collapse, and we're like, oh shit. Susie's 22 and doesn't know shit. Imagine that. Imagine that. You know, why did we listen to Susie? Oh, and hey, BlackRock called. They're not going to give us any more money. Well, fuck it.
And that's how the cycle goes. That was funding these nonsense. Once they listened to so-called the hypothetical Susie with the 61/70, whatever the CEO was, or whatever high position individual executive listened to Susie, the influencer who they're trying to tap into that young audience. Once they listen to Susie, the idiot, that's when they start losing money. And then when they start losing money, they go back to BlackRock or whatever company or shareholders to give them more money to make up what Susie fucked up on. And then what they'll do is, okay, Susie still has a lot of followers, and somehow she still is holding popularity somehow, even though we lost a lot of money. Maybe we should listen to her again and give her a chance again. And this is how they keep making people who fail upwards. They keep failing upwards, and they keep getting more positions. The Kathleen Kennedys, that lady who's writing Star Wars, all of them, they all fail upwards. That's what this is. But because the venture capital is totally like drying up or it's gone, they gotta go back to square one and be like, you know what? Maybe in the early 2000s, the 2010s,
all
things
of
was
these
better.
things that are happening are distractions for the real issues. If you shine the light at the right angle, you can
see the strings. Yeah, we all know if you have enough of a brain to understand what's going on, you know what's going on. But because of backlash and, like, you know, a certain type of wording or behavior, we have to walk around this and talk about it in a way that doesn't seem like you're attacking a specific group of people or a group of ideologues or whatever the case may be. So it is what it is. So it's a frustrating thing, but it's now that normies are getting more.
No luck.
More.
I hope I don't get suicide by being thrown out a window.
So, like, it's getting more prevalent for normies to see the what's going on now. What was considered, because I think what's happening, the live and let live people are dying out now. And because live and let live is what caused most of this to happen, people are coming back to fruition and being like, maybe this was not a smart idea to just let everyone have a voice or let everyone do what they please or let everything just go about, because now everything I say is either racist, homophobic, this, that, the third. It's attacking some indigenous person that lives so far away they will never know, but some activist young person's telling me this, right? So that's what makes this funny. So, like, it's a constant attack of victimhood around everywhere, every corner, everything. Sentences is discriminatory. They did it in fucking what do you call it? The Spider-Man 2. They tried to change Latino, Hispanic, or Spanish, because they don't like the idea that Spanish language is gendered based on male and female and how you construct them, how it's constructed. So they bring the Latin X thing, which pisses off a lot of Latinos anyway, because that they don't fuck with that. But like woke activist individuals comes up in here, are probably white saviors in some form, tries to re-educate you to say how evil of a person you are when really that's their culture. But the same people who are trying to be a white savior to you is the racist person who's trying to put you in a box. So like it's the funniest thing. It's wokeism eating itself. It's the Ouroboros tattoo eating itself. For those who have watched Full Metal Alchemist, it's the snake eating its own fucking tail.
Just going back to making mud. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many reasons for this, but basically it's paradigm shift.
We're talking about Tennessee retailer. Okay, it's Tennessee retailer.
Now, I'm just saying, this is not only just a liberal thing, it can also be conservative, because conservatives can end up in that same position as well. But because liberalism is more of the more dominant thing, that's why we're talking about that more. So just to get that clarification. I'm not saying that conservatives don't eat each other in their own way too. They do, but it's just not as prevalent because it's not in the forefront as much. Only for certain groups of people that may see that a lot, who are always dealing with conservatives on a constant. But because liberalism or just progressivism is so like
bad people will adopt any title or policy for their
agenda. They stay critically minded.
Stay critically minded.
Yeah, they usually do. Bad actors or grifters, or a case may be, bad actors, they always rear up their head one way or another. So
Tractor Supply.
They can't help themselves. That's why I said to, I think I was talking to, I forgot who I was talking to, but like, this is why I don't really worry about the wokeism too much, because, or the game journalists, because they can't help themselves. Like the whole thing that happened with Trump and the incident, you see how Disney responded, right? When he got frustrated, he really wanted to, he was on Piers Morgan, arguing with Piers Morgan how disgusting his takes were against someone else's life just because they don't agree with him politically, right? So that right there, they can't help themselves, because the one thing that the AI has over the human is the human element. Because the human element is the very thing that keeps us, well, human, but it's also our greatest weakness and strength, because our emotion gets the best of us depending on what the situation may be. So, and it's hard to always keep that in check, especially in your high tense situation, or you're in a very not a great place depending on what your situation is. So sometimes your emotions can get the best of you, and stuff like this happens. So
they went back. They walked back to they sell animal feed, tools, fencing, and clothing.
Right.
Yes, because there's such a demand for animal feed in the diverse market.
I am not saying that there isn't a market for drag queen farmers, and we'll probably hear from them after this video, but it's very, very small.
Please explain to me. Send pictures and show me how you get stuff done in drag.
I would love to. Oh my God, that's going to be a tip.
I don't think that's what it is. Maybe it's a farmer who does drag stuff after he's done farming. I don't think anyone's dressed like a drag queen to do farming shit. That sounds like a lot of work and just seems very unnecessary. It's like a girl who's puts on a bunch of makeup, and they put on they cake up a bunch of makeup on just to go into the fields to mess with dirt and grime and shit, and to feed the animals and do the planting work and all that stuff. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm pretty sure there is a farmer or two who dresses in women's clothing after dark, or a case may be, to their local drag club or something. That probably does exist. I'm not going to say that doesn't exist, but to expect them to be in drag clothing in pure daylight outside doing the farm is unlikely happening. I'm just going to call it for what it is.
People forget that Ghost in the Shell predicted this with the individual 11 arc. You single someone out, they become disconnected, unpredictably predictable.
Yeah.
Humans are social creatures.
Yeah.
I eat glass. 789. Snow White being called out.
It looks great. Thank you, AF. Snow White being called out.
That one.
You're going to give somebody the idea for a new TikTok account.
Drag queen farmer. Oh my God. I'd be there for it. I'd be like, you know what? Have you ever tried walking in heels? Holy shit. If someone did farming as a drag queen, they did it for many hours a day, you would have my respect, 100%.
I would not encourage that. Like, That's not respect. That just seems unnecessary. That's like saying I'm gonna go swim in a pool on. No, that's like me trying to do. I'm gonna break dance on a pole in the sky just because. I know that sounds like really insane as a metaphor, or at least for but like it's like you're being unnecessary for the sake of being necessary. It's like it's unnecessary. When it's unnecessary, that doesn't seem like that's worth respect. It just seems stupid. It's like you're purposely putting weights on yourself for the sake of putting weights on yourself just to say you did it. There's no real like understanding of that. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Be kind of fun.
Because I can't imagine.
Like, okay, let me use an example. A better example is like playing Elden Ring. It's like those people who said no hit runs, right? That's impressive because in nearly everyone who's played Elden Ring has been hit at least once in Elden Ring, whether on mistake, on purpose, or just because they're trying to see something, or they just missed the hit or missed the timing, right? That's impressive because it falls in a natural ability of not trying to get hit in the game, right? But when you purposely just put a bunch of caveats, you're just
There's
being
a
an ass.
documentary about the culture of drag. It's pretty old. People are just overreacting. All these things are just stuff to pass the time.
Yeah, that's what it are. People are just. I think most people are just lost and have nothing better to do.
That would be highly entertaining. But but yeah, it's like, I mean, who do they think the market is? I mean, we know that the people that they're trying to virtue signal to don't even know how to plant seeds. They're trying to plant seeds on a piece of cardboard in Chaz.
True. Yeah.
Like,
why isn't it growing?
Why isn't it growing?
They're waiting for it to grow.
This is our garden for the peoples of Chaz. I'm like,
when I saw that, again, I come from a rural farming type area. And when I saw that, I was just like, what the hell?
LOL.
Yeah, I know how to plant. I know how to grow stuff. I know how to can. I know how to sew. I know how to do all that stuff. I'm Granny Core Hard over here. But I grew up in an area that's what we did. We knew how to do that. I don't hunt, though.
Be Granny Core Hard than Granny Hardcore. That's another account. That's on OnlyFans, though. She does it in heels too.
Account. I don't want to see that one though, but
I don't know if she does it in heels anymore. It's probably in flats now because her arches are flat.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know,
I get
guys.
Shit done over here. Anyway.
So yeah, Trump and Vance are dismantling DEI according to USA Today. Yeah, I mean, I hate to
Trump
be
and Vance really had anything to do with it. I mean, businesses did it because they lost money.
Keywords.
Yeah.
It's keywords.
It's Trumpity Trump.
Trumpity Trump. It's all Trump's fault. So the Trump derangement is going to start up again, but it's not going to be the way it was before because the venture capital has run out. These websites.
Pinky.
Pinky and the brain.
That can't support themselves are not going to stay in business. So we might get people bitching about Trump, but I don't think we're going to see it magnified as much as it was before. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I think given the financial state of the company right now, even people that absolutely loathe the orange one are like, financially it makes a lot more sense.
Keep calling him the orange
one. Why do you keep calling him that? The orange. His name is fucking, just call him Trump. No one gives a shit anymore. You're not going to get ousted because you said his name. He's not fucking Voldemort. He's just orange.
One. Even
people think it was annoying orange.
Well, to some people, he is annoying orange. So, but I'm just saying, like, they're going to look at the situation. They're going to be like, okay, I don't like him, but God, my bank account is crying right now. So
I honestly don't find Trump annoying. I just find him quite entertaining, to be honest. I just find him entertaining. I have no real problem with him.
Official.
I know some of you may not like that response, but I just don't find him
using commands like support.
I find him quite entertaining, most cases.
So we did have a lot more money back in 2017, 2018.
I just think that people need to be hired based on, merit and skill, but it needs to be equally opportunity. Everybody should have the same chance. I 100% believe that. I have no problem with people being diverse that are hired if they're qualified for the position. The problem I have is when you're hiring people who are based on checkboxes, not on qualifications.
It bothers me the concept of orange is taking
it clearly will hurt your company. I'm sorry, but it will.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You go to the bottom here, and they're talking about dismantling DEI in the government, and Vance is. I have to look into that more. Apparently, he's leading that up. But they said, yeah, our company's getting rid of it. They're not
Damn
being
you,
as
politics.
public about it. And they said they're dropping the E from it. I think that they're dropping the word equity because equity again means you're going to choose potentially a less qualified candidate based on check boxes, because that's what equity is. It's like boosting people who view themselves as being marginalized, boosting them over other candidates, even if they're not qualified for the job. And that's where we run into the problem. It's not like, again, just go back to equal opportunity employment. Like,
I'm not saying don't hire diverse people, not by any means. I mean, I think there's some very qualified diverse people that should be hired.
Don't discriminate against people based on their skin tone. That's across the board.
That should have been across the board from day one. But that because of shit like that happens, we can't take whatever people say seriously in these companies. When that dude came out of nowhere, when that dude came out saying what he was saying to that girl on that date from Disney, I believe everything he said. I don't think he's bullshitting. I don't think he was making any of that shit up. Like, why would he elaborately make this shit up just to lose his job if he didn't know he was being recorded? That's bullshit.
Their religion.
I believe what he said was true about the whole discriminatory thing against white men specifically, and I have a problem with that because if you can do that to white men, it eventually will happen to other minorities eventually when they're not the majority. Remember, white men are only being discriminated because they're considered the majority of what's in power right now. But once they become not the main source of majority or whatever the case may be, it's the next race right under them, and that's usually like Japanese people or people of East Asian people. That's the second thing, because there has been people who said that East Asian people are white adjacent. So there are some situations where it's okay to make fun of them because they're just right under white people to a certain extent, which they have justified in their head. I remember we was listening to, I think, a Demion, and they was talking about this very thing, where because you're white adjacent, it's okay to make fun of you, how you look, your race, and everything, because you are more family structured. You make more money than all the other races other than white people and all that stuff. Which I believe that more Asians make more money
Once
than
all the
white
infirm,
people anyway.
minor, and aged are gone, who will be next?
It'll be Asian people.
Slippery slope. Restream.io.
Once
Trophy,
all the
congratulations.
infirm, minor, and aged
You've
are
received
gone, who will be
100
next?
messages
Pretty much
today
it'll be
with
Asian
Restream
people.
chat.
And it'll be East Asian, then it'll be South Asian, and then it'll be anyone under that, probably like Hispanic, Indigenous, and blah blah blah, whoever's at the bottom of the tall pole from that point. That's what's gonna happen. So you want to prevent that from happening because it's just gonna trickle down into more hatred and racism anyway. Like true racism, not me making a joke because it was funny and it's rooted in some form of stereotypical truth to a certain degree, and therefore I'm racist. That doesn't make you racist. I think it's racist when you say, "Oh, hey, Bri, or my mods, we're going to fight the Mexicans
The whole conversation
3 o'clock
of Brave New
tomorrow
World.
at X, Y, and Z," because you're looking for a confrontation. But if you say, "Oh, you make a Hispanic joke that's actually funny that you heard from a comedy club from a Hispanic person," it's going to be funny because it's what they said. You're just repeating what they said. Does that make you racist? No. But when you entail some type of form of harm on someone, that's when it becomes racist. So the whole new conversation of Brave New World.
Their gender, their sexual identity. I'll tell you the truth. If we had somebody come to us and that person was a drag queen.
What is with you and drag queens?
Well, we're talking about drag queens, and that person was the best at whatever the fucking thing was that we were hiring them for, and I knew that person was going to make us a shit ton of money.
I'll hire them because they're going to make me money. That's ultimately what that is. They're going to make me money. Now, are they going to be in drag doing it? The chances is probably
No
not.
luck. LOL. I love how if something is funny enough, it's okay. LOL. Humor, the great equalizer.
It's a great equalizer, but also a Trojan horse at the same time. Because if you want to introduce something to people, you don't, especially if it's something that is pretty insane or something that seems controversial.
No luck.
The best way.
There's nothing sacred in comedy.
The best way to get them to listen, or at least get them to think, is to make them laugh. I think Dave Chappelle does a great job out of this, and I think Kevin Hart, but usually Dave Chappelle. He can say outrageous things that people would, or liberals or progressives will find problematic, but the way he constructs his stories and how he explains it, and timing, makes it easier to listen to him because it's funny. It'll make you laugh, even if it's like consideredly politically incorrect or a case may be. Which I hate politically incorrect stuff because it kills fun. It kills funny. It kills everything. So
comedy is a tool. Just because I give a knife to someone, it doesn't make them a chef. Same goes for jokes IMHO.
And was going to focus on the job and not spend all day on Twitter talking about stuff that was going to hurt the company.
Hire him, no problem.
I'd hire, no problem.
Yeah,
I'd be
we
like,
hire. We don't hire.
Yeah, I don't care.
We hire based on your qualifications, not what you identify.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'll hire you on your qualifications. Now, the chance of that person being in drag at the job will be probably really unlikely, right? But maybe they say they're a drag because they do that at night or with their friends off their off time, which I don't know why that would even matter in the job in description. But like, let's just say that was part of the job description anyway, even though you're not gonna come here and drag, just to know that, which is weird enough because that's like saying what I do at my bedroom, kind of to a certain extent. Why am I letting my boss or my company know what I do in my free time that has nothing to do with the company? You should only give what entails what the company profits from, not knowing what I do. That's just weird.
Are you good at what you do? Fantastic. Are you going to help make the company money? Are you a team player? Are you going to not make us look stupid in public? Fantastic. And if you like to come to work in pumps,
I might ask where you got them.
Sure.
No,
sure.
I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. I would not do that. What I would do is
teach really quick, but when drawing a skin-tight tank top for dudes, are the wrinkles usually placed around the ribs? Just asking in general.
Wait, teach really quick, but when drawing a skin-tight tank top for dudes, are the wrinkles usually placed around the well, it depends on how tight. So like let's use this for example. If I didn't make this tight-ish, it's more like poorly loose based on how it looks. I'll say that the paint the construction of the clothing isn't the best, but let's just say this. Let's just say this was the shirt for the dude. Not this falling off, but let's just say this was the shirt for the dude. This will be more wrapped around the waist, and there'll be a little bit of some nudges at the edge to show that it's wrapped. The show that something's tight is usually showing some type of bulge at the edges. That's what I showed you earlier on that video. So like if I made real quick, like if I made, say this is the waistline, like this will indicate that there's some type of tightness because of these bumps on the edges.
No luck.
That's it.
You can pry the artistic integrity from my malnourished, mental illness-ridden, cold, dead hands. Probably future me. Ariane. Cause the one I have is where it's skin tight so you can sort of see the six-pack underneath if that helps.
That's fine, you can put that there. It depends on how tight you want it to be. It won't press completely through. You can put some definition on the muscles, but you can't.
Rick's official.
You can't just put because it just
Be a support
weird.
hero today.
So you
by using
had
commands
it fade
like
in a little bit. So
/donation and
like this
/cash app
to a certain extent and keep gaps in that sense to show that the muscles, it's so tight that you can see the muscles through it, but not completely.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah.
Are you the best at what you do? And that's what we need to go back to doing.
Yeah, so. we don't care. Like, we don't care if people are different than us. We just care if you're
people are like, what?
We just care if you're an asshole. I mean, that's
pretty much it. I mean, this is where like the pendulum tends to swing too hard in either direction, and it's basically, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and when you swing it really hard one way, which the last few years has been left, it's going to swing back pretty hard, right? Eventually, we just
want to go back to the middle, man.
I just want things to go back to normal. Can we just go back to normal?
You can't go back to normal when you play the This is the problem with us, and this is where I have a problem, not with them, but like this is where what happens when you have let live type attitude. When you have let live type attitude, it's not a limiter. It's not even a gate. It's nothing. It's literally, well, I don't want to offend you, so I'm going to let you be. But what happens is when you let someone have that type of range or have that type of attitude towards you, they'll start pushing you to see how far they can go till they make you the villain. That's how it works. It's like if you let your little brother or sister do whatever they want when you're watching them. Say you're not watching, your parents put you under some type of jurisdiction to watch your little brother or sister, and you let them do whatever they want. Their brother and sister is going to take it upon themselves to push themselves. They'll do stuff like jump off the counter, be standing in places they shouldn't be, messing with things that they shouldn't be, and stuff because the parents won't let them. The parents are the limiter. But once you let that limiter flow open, you let everything that's possible to happen. Now, when that kid gets hurt and under your jurisdiction, guess who they're gonna look at? You, because once you start letting your little brother or sister do
you want to see someone somewhere once.
Yeah, but like if you let your little brother or sister do whatever the hell they want, and then you finally stop them, guess what they're gonna do? Get mad at you. Now you're the villain in the situation. You're the asshole. You're the problem. Remember, you let them live. That's why the idea of shaming doesn't exist in this society anymore. It rarely ever exists. And when it's shaming, it's just because you made an politically incorrect response, not because what you're saying is true. This is what happened to Gina Carano. Right? She was not going to put put pronouns in her bio, and she got in trouble. But Pedro Pascal and Mark Ruffalo and what's his name, Mark Hamill, said very insane takes. Way more insane takes than saying I'm not going to put pronouns in my bio for whatever reason. Right? Politically charged shit. And they still got to work. They still get to act. They still work in Hollywood. And Gina Carano doesn't. And she's a woman. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect that was going to happen to one of them three. No. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem. When you bring insane, small aggression problems as like if it's a big attack on someone, you're going to bring an insane behavior that's going to be you wouldn't even expect to be a problem. That's what happens when you have let live individuals run and allow everything to happen. There has to be a limit to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? This is why I'm doing, for example, I'm doing skin alone. I'm not going to be coloring this shirt. If I choose to color this shirt, I'm just wasting time at this point. The point is to limit myself, not to focus on the small details or anything that's not important on this drawing. Yes, I'm doing skin, and yes, her boobs are kind of like there on the seams. That's the pull you in. Let's just call it sex sells. It is what it is. But like the point of this is to focus on skin and make it realistic as possible. That's the whole point. That's the marketing tactic, the sex sells part that comes in. But alongside that, if you look past that and see what I'm doing, you're like, oh, how do you make the skin do that? How do you make the skin look realistic? How do you make those colors work? You know what I'm saying? That's what's the whole point of this.
Bro, that's why I don't believe the phrase, oh, he's just a kid dash like no bro.
Yeah, no, that goes so far. That saying goes so far.
Tell your kid not to
do it. Yes, because kids are kids. Kids are going to make childish responses and childish things. It's just expected, right? I'm not saying there's a mature child who won't do stupid shit. That does exist. There are mature kids who won't do certain things that other kids won't do. But because they're a kid, you have to put that limiter on them to always expect not the same as that of adult. Even if the kid does adult things in the sense that is under matureness of not being a problem, a controversial problem, know when to speak when spoken to, know when to talk to their elders in a respectful way, or the authority, or whatever case may be. Those kids exist. But when you have kids who are
he's just a little boy.
When you have kids who are just because he's 5, because he's 10, because he's 16, because he's 17, you know what I'm saying? When you start doing shit like this, you make them have this type of attitude saying, oh, I'm just a kid, I can get away with it. That's why the shows like Scared Straight don't work anymore. Because when the kids start watching the show, they start realizing these criminals can't do shit to me. Right? When they start realizing they can't do shit to me, the only thing they're going to do is scream in my face, yell a little bit, act a little tough, that's it. Because if they ever touch me, I'm getting a check. That's what happens. Right? I don't think they even have these kids sign a NDA or anything. So like, because they're children. So like, if the officer or the prisoner does anything beyond what there was expected to do to these kids on Scared Straight, on I think it was called on A&E, they're getting a check in the mail. Actually, quite frank, some of these kids actually try to push these criminals to do something crazy so they can get that check. Let's call it for what it is, because they know they can't put it on the internet. They can't put it on national television with a kid being harmed by a prisoner that they put in harm's way. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do it. So that's what these kids kind of figured out. Kids are not stupid. Kids are really smart. Really, really smart. It's because the internet exists now, they are more exposed to more, right? But the problem with this, because they're exposed to more, they feel like they're adult now to say what they please. They don't even do it subtly. They do it right in your fucking face, because most of the parents don't want to scold their kids because they don't want to be seen as a mean parent. They want to be friends with their kid. You can be friends with your kid, but your kid needs to understand that there's a form of limiter that you can say to your parents, to your elders, to authority in a manner that is respectful, but you can still get your point across, right? You don't have to be disrespectful to get your point across. You can say the same things to your parents
lathers,
with
fried Oreos,
with a certain decorum.
smeared corn, cotton, candy, funnel cake, shish kebabs, meat skewers. Carnival time. Soon LOL. Moral lathers. Kids are opportunistic creatures.
Yes. So, and I understand there are some parents who are very unreasonable. That does exist. There are parents who don't listen to reason. I know they exist. Not every parent is a great parent. I know every parent is not meant to be a parent. Some parents became parents by mistake on obvious reasons, but like, you just have to deal with what you're dealt with. That's just a sad state of life. Sometimes you have to learn how to deal with your parent or your guardian in the time that you're with them, right? Now, if they're abusing you, that's one thing, but if they're just rude and an asshole, but they don't do anything, they may yell at you, or it comes to, they may have a temper or whatever. That does exist, but you have to know when to choose your battles with your parent or your guardian, because this can last for so long, right? So when you get to a certain age, or you start working or making money, that's when you can save and then start doing your own thing and move out and stuff like that. You don't have to deal with them anymore. That's what I'm saying.
Glass
So
.789.
that does exist.
If I were to dare jump on the counter, not get hurt, and my mom would tell me no, I do it anyway, I'm getting hooped no matter what age.
Yeah, so that's it is what it is. So you have to have that form of respect, but that only works if the parents put enough effort for that respect to stay true. But if you just don't do it and then expect them to be X, Y, and Z.
Plot twist, your abusive guardian is you from the future.
Oh God. That's actually more true mentally, if you believe it or not.
The circle it makes when it's like, you know, calm, but it's still moving. That's what we want.
Yeah, just the calm with a bit of movement. That's fine.
Getting it done. Are we gonna wrap this?
Yeah, let's wrap
it. We were about talking about DEI at John Deere, and somehow we ended up talking about
pumps.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about lounge toy bags, I'd be all about it. But you know,
there we go. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
I didn't mean for this video to be so long, but that was Clownfish TV on the DEI. John Deere, if I'm saying it right, ditches DEI and continues to die across corporate America. So that's that. So like, subscribe, share, follow, comment. If you guys enjoyed this talk, or in case may be, I know some of you may not enjoy or agree with the things I say. You may have some angry comments. I'm expecting that to happen. But, you know, it's about a form of respect towards everyone, whether you are liberal or progressive or conservative or Republican or case may be. So it is what it is. So like, subscribe, share, follow, comment. I hope to see you guys in the next one, and laters. Oh, and also give a follow to Clownfish as well if you want. This will be linked in the description as well. Yeah. Okay, we have one last
grow the world of art, one idea at a time.
Grow the world. Okay, we got one more anti-woke type video. This is from a Deviant. He just posted this no more than like 5 hours ago. So it's about the Act Man. So it says the Act Man rages as conservative ideology wins. Plus woke Sweet Baby new project implodes. So Sweet Baby's still at it, and they keep failing like usual. So
everyone, it's Endymion, and there has been a cultural shift in the world as of late, as I'm sure you've been noticing to varying degrees lately. It seems as if the push against things like identity politics, woke ideology, and more has started to sway. From the Act Man denouncing this new wave, Sweet Baby's newest game failing, and much more, so let's begin. As I'm sure you're all aware, the Twitch kick streamer Destiny has been in hot water lately. Not only because he lets other men sleep with his wife while he watches, but because he went on an unhinged tirade attacking the deceased victims during Trump's assassination attempt. This has officially led to Destiny getting banned on Kick and Twitch, not indefinitely mind you, but banned nonetheless. Normally, this wouldn't really happen if we're being real, since being banned for making fun of right-wing individuals is almost unheard of these past few years. As we all know, it's totally fine to attack anyone conservative for anything. After all, Gamergate exists because left-leaning creatives refuse to give their audiences what they want. Which are, whether they want to admit it or not, a large section of the paying customers are conservative. The point is that media for years now has been against right-leaning ideals for a long time. Especially during the era of 2020 when everything was locked down, even speaking right-wing ideas was bannable on most social media platforms. I think it's fair to say that my channel does defend right-wing-esque ideas more often than not, and to be real with you guys, when I was younger, I was probably a little more left-leaning myself. This was mostly because I was an idiot who knew nothing and was being conditioned by the school around me to think a certain way.
Yeah, I was the same way too. Like, younger me, if I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, I'll say like between ages like 21 down, I was more liberal than ever. I was pretty liberal more, but now I'm a bit more conservative in most things I say now because I can see the writing on the wall on certain things when you look at it long term. I didn't look at things long term. I looked at it as what it is right now, right? But what is the long term effects of this particular stance? Where would that go? Where would this lead? How would this affect my loved ones, myself, my family, my community, anyone? In particular situations, just like if you're liberal in some things and conservative, I think you should need a balance between three things. Like if you're conservative of some things that you won't do, or some things you keep more to yourself, you should be liberal on some things that are either considered old or not as problematic as it is, and just like let people do their thing, right? And then with the love and let live, it's either goes between both of them depending on what it is. It should be met with high caution, but don't use too much. It should be met with minor usage as much as possible, but not so much as a run to everything, because that can ultimately, like I said earlier with the whole kid thing from the last video, it can lead to a behavior where you actually make other people spoiled as shit, and then they don't know their place. And then when you try to put a limiter in some form, whether it's boundaries amongst yourself or others or just in general, they get mad at you because now you allow them to get to a point of a behavior where it could be seen as like you're fucking on their fun, you're destroying their fun. And usually it's someone who's young. I'm not saying it can actually happen to someone who's not old, but it's usually people who are young who thinks this way. So,
but as I got older, especially once I left high school, I started to see the world very differently. Things started to change, and now we're at the point where for the past, I would say 8 years or so, it's been pretty much you are left-leaning or you should basically die is the accepted rhetoric in the world.
That's pretty much what that is. That's a very insane take. Not everything. There's always that good saying, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, right? Too much of anything could be a bad thing. It could be like even bad things can be bad for you at the same time. So it's like
I will
that.
thank you at no luck eyes pink heart shape.
Video games go.
This fucking commercial.
Movies did as well. Marvel started to reject their winning formula for more DEI and woke pandering. And now the MCU is a dumpster fire for the most part, and sadly this is the case across the board. Just look at Star Wars. Now since the whole Trump thing, stuff has been shifting. I've been noticing more often these days people getting cancelled for attacking right-wing individuals. There's plenty of posts on X of ordinary people getting witch hunted in real life for saying the next shooter shouldn't miss.
See, now I understand where Demon's coming from, but I think this is just a temporary thing. I think that's going to shift right back to what it was. It's just not a hot take to make, given that that might be your next president-elect. I'm pretty sure if he wasn't a president-elect and this happened after the fact, like say the president's the whole race came to an end after the fact, and someone tried to put attempt on his life, I don't think companies would have put as much emphasis on banning and stopping people. Maybe some people still fight on his behalf after the fact if he won or not. Let's just say he didn't. I would just think that most companies wouldn't give a fuck. I honestly don't think they will give as much of a fuck as they do now, because he could be our next president, possibly. So, you know, they're just trying to save face, I believe, to a certain extent, so they don't look insane or look like they wanted something for the president to get hurt or the potential president-elect to get hurt, because he might keep that in his back of his mind to come after these companies later on.
And even recently,
Hey, bro,
as you
what's
know,
going
the
on?
whole
Hey, Paper
Tenacious
Dragon.
D Jack Black thing where the tour got cancelled and Kyle Gass got let go of from his agency. There's a shift happening here. I wouldn't say it's 100% conservative only, but it feels like the pendulum is starting to return to the center after being left for so long. But anyways, the Act Man, who's a YouTuber you probably know, decided to throw his hat in the ring again. And before I get into him, I just want to clarify that I do not hate the Act Man at all. In fact, I find some of his content to actually be well done and somewhat entertaining. But in my opinion, the guy is not exactly a beacon.
I'm aware of the Act Man's existence. I just never watched his shit. I don't think I've ever watched his stuff. I don't think I ever actually watched his stuff, not once. I probably have, for all I know. I probably ran into it, but never noticed it. Maybe I was like drawing one time, and I probably heard him talk in the background, but I never really paid attention, and it just moved to the next video. So...
beacon of nuanced
sleep last
political
night?
talk,
You
he
said you
should keep to his lane, which is strictly video
I just read
games,
it out, my
but
bad.
anyways.
You still...
So, Destiny got banned, and then the Act Man decided to weigh in by saying, let me
No,
be
I
the
guess
first
it-
to welcome our new cancel culture overlords. Thank goodness Kick is finally cracking down on speech that I personally do not
Raiga
like.
Samurai.
This is rich coming from
have-
the Act Man, considering...
What is your I will love your opinion on that, Rai. Please tell me what's your opinion on that, Rai? Tell me. Like, is it worth watching this shit? Because I know he pissed off, I think, a few people. I think Babyface, and he pissed off Kyle. And I'm not gonna go based on just because he pissed them off, because I think that's stupid. I never really watch his stuff, so I'll give a chance to watch his stuff, even though I may not agree with some things he say or some things he has done or said, but I'm pretty sure he's entertaining nonetheless.
how he treated Az from Heel vs. Babyface last year when it came to the whole Starfield controversy.
Yeah, the Starfield
In case
thing.
you forgot, Az went on a rant about how Starfield and every current Western game couldn't help themselves from injecting current-day modern political nonsense into everything that they do. He was right, by the way, and I defended Az back then too, and I still do. When Az first said that, thousands of people dogpiled him, making Wojaks out of him and saying, look, it's a grown man scared of pronouns. But that wasn't the reason. They were instead missing why he was saying what he was saying. Starfield had pronouns and other nonsense pro-left-leaning ideologies that were strewn all over the game, and of
Raiga
course was
Samurai.
filled to the brim with
I
ugly
watched these
female
video
characters
games too
besides a
sexy
few
video.
of them. And if you also
Send me that
remember
video.
during this
I'll
time,
watch
the
it
Act
one day.
Man went
I
into
might
a
do
very
a stream,
public fighting match
reaction
with
on it.
Az on Twitter,
Send
where
it to
he
me on Discord.
wanted to debate him, then he didn't. Then the Act Man exposed private DMs that were between him and Mauler, who's a friend of the channel, and Mauler tried to mediate the situation because Az had no interest in speaking to the Act Man. This went on for a while, and eventually it ended with both parties just washing their hands of the situation and moving on entirely.
All the DMs I'm going to show you are between me and Mauler. I don't want nobody giving Mauler shit for this. He did his best to try and mediate a conversation. He was in an awkward position.
Okay.
Nobody give Mauler shit, okay? So here are the DMs with Mauler. I say, some people in my
Thanks,
Twitch
bro.
chat were telling me I should ask you to set up a discussion with Az and have you be a moderator. What do you think about that? September 6th. Just pay attention to the dates and times. Mauler says, I'm super unfamiliar with the game. I don't think Az is going to be interested. He's just carrying on doing his thing. Not much of a fan of any of the viral posts about him, being that there's so much missing context about his views on the whole thing. Great. Let's talk, and you can provide that context to me directly. Was there something specific you wanted to talk to him about?
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like this one is pretty flat in certain areas. I will say the flatness. I'm sorry if this pause it has nothing to do with the reaction. I'm sorry for those who rewatch this, but I'm just have to point out. I think it's flat here, here, and a bit here, a little bit. I'm still having trouble with the cleavage here. I think I should get rid of the line here. I think that's what's throwing me off. I should erase the line or paint over it, and then try to make it, in that sense, make it more realistic. Maybe if I get rid of that, it'll stop distracting me. Because the cleavage is not making much sense with the shading. It feels like it's kind of like flatting out. So I'm going to erase this part and see if it makes sense. I just wanted to point that out for those who are paying attention to this.
Well, I think it'd be good for us to talk about it.
What are we
Could do
talking
well
about?
for our channels
We're
and
doing
bridge
a
the gap,
reaction.
so to
You can
speak.
come over here on YouTube horizontal and see what we're talking about. So if you're confused on what I'm talking about, come over here.
You make your videos, I make my video. Then we could come together, talk about it on your channel, my channel, and have an interesting conversation. We make content. Hopefully squash the beef, shake hands, move on, everyone's happy. You could pose the idea to him and see what he says. You know me decently well. I'm not the type of person to hold grudges or hate someone just because I disagree with them. I'm sure we wouldn't just talk about the game, but the concepts of woke culture and media too. I wouldn't necessarily want to treat it as a debate. So at this point in time, I don't want the conversation between me and Az to be treated as like, okay, I'm right, you're wrong, let's fucking go. I think there's too much bad blood at this point. He doesn't believe you made those tweets in the interest of understanding the situation, but rather for engagement. He's not interested, and I don't think he will be convinced otherwise. He felt very supportive of you and a lot of what you had to go through, like the demonetization. So obviously this has created a very sour impression. Understandable. Then let's talk in private, just the three of us. Private conversation, not about content. Let's just try to understand each other. I made those tweets because I didn't understand what he was saying. And because it's the internet. You know, we're public figures. You goof and gaff on me, I do the same. He doesn't strike me as a shy man. What could be the harm in a private conversation? I very much appreciate that he was supportive of my situation back then. I will always have a certain level of respect for people that did. Tell him that's why I'm reaching out. This is still true. This is still true. I still have a certain amount of respect for Az for having my back in my darkest time. It might create more drama to tag Az in a public tweet, and I have no other way to contact him, so I'd like to settle this bad blood if possible. I understand if it puts you in an awkward middleman situation. I've spoken with Az, and he said he is happy to have a private chat with us. The idea of no audience and just us to figure out the miscommunications, differences in a call will hopefully have some good outcomes. Only he's gotten a fever, and I think has the flu right now, so might need like a week before setting this up. Do you want to let me know what kind of availability you have? Sounds good. Let him know that I do have a video about Starfield hot takes going up. It's a bit late for me to unpull the trigger, and it is mostly for content purposes. As he made a couple videos on this subject, I hope he understands. There are more important things than our squabble disagreement on this subject. He stuck up for me in my darkest hour, so I want to make sure he knows he has an ally should his channel ever face any unfair demonetization of videos or God forbid his channel gets terminated. That's what I was going to say.
The Act Man proved in that moment that he was willing to stoop as low as exposing private messages with another user without their consent, which kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And since that whole debacle, Az has gone from being the guy who's afraid of pronouns in Starfield to over time the mass majority of people now agreeing with him. And that's kind of what I've started to notice across the board when it comes to media this past little while.
Factor provides balanced eating made simple.
They provide a new menu every week with delicious new.
Suddenly, everything that I and others have been fighting for is being confirmed as not being crazy, and that what we've been saying is actually real and not fabricated narratives. We were always telling you guys the truth the entire time, and it's good to see more people finally seeing it now. With the Act Man, yet again, sadly, not being able to read the room, he's saying that the new cancel culture overlords, to which he means the right-leaning individuals, are the new boogeymen. It's funny how he says they're cracking down on speech he doesn't like, obviously in a sarcastic sense, but he was totally fine with dogpiling people like Az for months because it went with his agenda. Remember when the Act Man suddenly changed his tune when Gamergate 2 started and he was acting like he didn't know that any of this was happening? Suddenly he was against Sweet Baby, where he said back in March this year, so I started looking into the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff, and I cannot fathom why game studios would hire a narrative consultant group. Isn't that what lead writers are for? Why not just hire a better writing team and keep it in-house? LMAO. Ah yes, suddenly, out of nowhere, the Act Man changes his tune on a subject the moment it becomes more socially acceptable to do so. The same guy, by the way, who said this about Az. Gorilla-shaped man on the verge of crying because Starfield lets you pick pronouns at the start of the game and then it's never brought up again. Somebody please shoot this guy with a bear tranquilizer, he's going to attack someone. You see what I mean? He seems to only shift his opinions once they're given the okay by the powers that be around him. It's sort of like what Grum said recently, which I covered in my last video, which is that a lot of people just don't have their own opinions or morals at all. And they just form them based on what they're told by other people, then act that way once it's okay to do so.
Yeah.
That's what the Act Man has been doing for a while. Again, I don't hate the guy, but criticism when it's due. He is being hypocritical here more often than he isn't. We all know whenever a right-leaning individual would get cancelled or attacked, people like the Act Man would just stay quiet. Because as I said, it was socially acceptable to treat people who were conservatives as subhuman. It was actually encouraged and rewarded by the media and those in power. After this whole Trump thing, it's clear that things are changing, and it's evident that we are racing off to a new era where suddenly all of these preconceived behaviors that were once
problematic
encouraged are being immediately met with
No
pushback
luck.
and, for lack of a
Donut
better
wavy
word,
dash donut.
cancel culture. It's incredible how quickly narratives change, since for years this has been happening. Remember when that Rosetta scientist guy, Dr. Taylor, got in trouble because he was wearing a shirt with sexy women on it while talking about the upcoming comet mission, and then everyone wanted to cancel him? And the dude was so distraught and confused from the backlash, he's pretty much never been heard of again publicly and had to apologize over and over because people are wimps?
That's new to me. I never heard of this one. That's new. The Rosetta scientist says Dr. Matt Taylor apologized for offensive shirt. Wow. Shit, that's my first time hearing that. Have you guys heard of this story before? I have never heard of this story before. This is something I would probably heard of, but that's new to me. I've never heard of that before. Holy shit. So that actually happened? So he was explaining something. He happened to have anime girls, I guess, making the Ohio face, whatever the fuck it's called. And I guess, or just a bunch of anime girls on his shirt.
Ryaga Samurai. Nope.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Or remember when Gina Carano, a conservative Hollywood star, spoke on vaccines via Instagram? And then she got fired and blacklisted from the entire industry overnight, while her co-stars like Pedro Pascal compared conservatives to Yahtzees in World War II,
No
and
luck.
he's still gainfully employed and she
First
isn't.
time.
Or when Notch, the guy who made
Wow.
Minecraft, just said on Twitter that it's okay to be a white person. And now, since Microsoft owns Minecraft, his name has all but...
It is okay to be a white person. I don't know how that's evil. That's not evil. It's okay to be an Asian person. It's okay to be a black person. It's okay to be an indigenous person. It's okay to be a disabled person. Not on purpose, but if you have to be born like that or you didn't do that on purpose on yourself. So, like, it's okay. It's okay. Nothing's wrong with that. That's not a hot take. That's just a normal thing to say. There's nothing wrong for being white, and there's nothing wrong being black. There's nothing wrong being Asian. There's nothing wrong being a woman. Even the LGBT flag stuff. That doesn't. It's okay. It's only problematic when you try to force things on people or expect them to think like you or be exactly like you or whatever the case may be. That's a problem. Right? There's nothing wrong with it. If that's an evil hot take, then that's just insane. That's insane.
but been scrubbed from the game's legacy, and he was canceled for that? Yet if someone said it's okay to be Asian or black, it would be
No luck.
celebrated. I'm not done,
You
by the
know,
way. I got
if you think
plenty
about
of
it,
more examples.
Existence is kind
Remember
of
back
weird,
in 2019
right?
when the entire...
i.e.
Yeah.
class point 789. Hey Artex, what compliments pink? No luck.
Green.
Don't even get started on consciousness.
Like, green. Because if you take your color wheel, I don't know if you can see the color wheel. I doubt it. I don't think you guys can see the color. No, it doesn't show you the color wheel. So if you go to your color wheel and you look at the green, they always know that green because, okay, to know that colors complement each other, go to your color wheel, the giant circle around the square, and then just literally go across from what it is. Pink and green are two colors that complement one another. Hello, Zero. So pink and green, blue and red, orange and dark blue, yellow and dark blue, purple and I'll say lime green, and purple. So like these colors complement each other.
Ironikai.
So
You can look up complementary color of whatever color you're trying to use.
Or colors that work together as a tandem is yellow, green, and blue, yellow, orange, and red, pink, red, and pink, orange, red, and pink, purple, and dark blue.
Ryaga Samurai.
So.
Hi, Aaron.
Leftist movement dogpiled a young man for wearing a Make America Great Again hat. And then he ended up winning a defamation case against him, but it didn't stop tons of woke weirdos from attacking him regardless. Or when the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, whose name is Scott Cawthon, got ousted for supporting Donald Trump, and he refused to bend the knee or apologize for his politics despite the fan.
Wait, let me hear this.
Or when the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, whose name is Scott Cawthon, got ousted for supporting Donald Trump.
I do remember that one. He did. I think he sent money to his cause. And a lot of stupid kids heard that and went after him. Most of them was kids. I'm pretty sure some of those teenagers, even some grown folks, but most of them was kids, and they just went by what their parents told them or what the school told them.
And he refused to bend the knee or apologize for his politics, despite the fan base of Five Nights going absolutely berserk over his political opinions. And then places like the Mary Sue ran hit pieces against Scott because he dared to think differently than them. And that to this day, his name is considered evil if you utter it alongside the franchise? You'd think he was a P-word or killed someone, but no, he was just a conservative guy living in America. That's all.
Ain't that funny?
Had some other
Ain't that funny? The irony.
I eat glass
the irony.
789.
Right?
Color theory is killing me, bro.
Like, don't even learn color theory. Learn grayscale first. That's the best way to learn color theory. Learn grayscale first, then learn color. Because once you know grayscale is based on lighting, shading, and in-betweens of midtones. Once you master that, the colors are just kind of like on a platter at that point. That's pretty much what it is.
Great examples too.
Hey,
like,
Zero.
Remember how Zoe Quinn,
like, how ironic a show like a game or a franchise like Five Nights that is pretty liberal if you think of it in that sense. Well, not liberal, but the demographic that is into Five Nights is I would say turns more is more on the liberal side of things,
or at least progressive. Colors loudly crying
right?
face.
And how all the characters are like fall into that
no luck
certain demographic.
I completely agree. I learned B&W photography, then moved to color, then digital, and now I'm here.
See, that's what that is. So like, luck is making a valid point. Like, you have to do grayscale first. A lot of people jump from drawing to color theory and get confused about a bunch of things and stuff like that. I would suggest learn grayscale first. That's what I did. I was just as stubborn as everyone else. I didn't do color theory. I did color theory first and did everything backwards and got frustrated. This is why we're here now, because now I did color theory. I have a better understanding of form, and I can see things for being flat. Like I said it earlier. Like, I circled these circles here, because I can see that it's not 3D. It's not flat. It's flat. And there's a shading problem and a lighting problem. That's what it is. It's not a color problem. It's a shading problem. So we need to shade much more effectively.
Color is too many variables.
Yeah, it's too many variables at once. What shading does, it helps keep the variables at bay, or at least it limits the variables as or it limits the idea of mistakes more easily.
In the beginning, I eat glass 789. I didn't know, though. I thought you had to learn color theory after.
No, you have to learn grayscale, because everything from your reds, your blues, and everything. It's funny because if you take every color and slap it together, it'll be black, right? Or white, depending on how you mix them. But like, it ultimately goes back to black or to white, depending on what it is. So,
no luck.
Focus on.
My teacher told me B&W photography helps you focus on exposure,
object
and the object/subject/ scenery.
Well, that's more of composition, but like, if you're doing photography, it's those things. But I think the main focus between when it comes to photography, it's mainly the idea of composition. Mostly, like, if you're using the rule of thirds, the Fucci method, or I think the Fucci method, or the golden ratio, I think it's referred to. There's so many different compositions you can use to make things seem much more interesting than it should. That's why when I tell my students, whenever you're drawing a drawing, right, especially if it's like a static drawing, don't just draw the characters static. If you're gonna draw them static, change the camera position. So that means if I'm drawing my character standing, putting their hands on their hips, instead of just making them stand from a distance and putting their hands on their hips, move the camera and draw them from a top-down perspective with their hands on their hips.
Oh well, too late. I got colored everything.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, hopefully you're not doing traditional, then you can't really pull it back too much. So if you're doing digital, then you can probably fix it, but it's gonna take some time. But you know,
worked with feminist frequency.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think anyone's going. I don't think in my head anyone's really excited for the Borderlands movie.
Coloca of assault, but none of it had any evidence to support it. But everyone in the games industry believed her anyways, and blacklisted and threw Alec to the wolves.
Reminds
and he
me
ended
of
up
that time
taking his
I had
own
to draw
life,
an
and to
apple
this
for an
day
art
Zoe
class,
Quinn
and I
never
wanted to
apologized
use
for
ink
that.
for the outline and stuff, and I accidentally spilled it over the drawing, and then the colors mixed and the apple looked rotten. I eat glass. 789. I'ma have to pull out everything I know.
I see.
But everyone in the
Hey,
games
Caleb,
industry
welcome
believed her
back.
My teacher
anyways,
wasn't
and
happy.
blacklisted and threw Alec to the wolves. And he ended up taking his own life, and to this day Zoe Quinn never apologized for that. Or remember that little kid who was cheering on his favorite sports team and wore the uniform and everything to show his support for his team? And woke weirdos wanted the kid dead pretty much because he was culturally appropriating something when he was just showing support for a team he loves with all of his heart.
And the irony of that, of all that situation with the kid and the sports paint on his face, the kid was Native American. I think he was half Native American or part Native American. I believe he was half. That was the most ironic part about it, given the team was basically based on Native American culture, right? Well, the logo, and he dressed up as them. And what that news article did not know, that not only that they went by him resembling white, but not knowing if he was white. And even if he wasn't doing it to be rude to anyone. He was just cheering on his favorite team. Everyone does it. For almost, it's like centuries they've been putting like paint mask on their face to represent their own favorite team. This is not unheard of. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that studio got, I think they lost everything. I think it's shut down after that. I don't know if the father literally sued them out of the ground. I think he was a lawyer, I believe. But it was funny as shit. It was some black guy who made the article anyway. He felt so strongly about this kid being canceled that he didn't know that the kid was Native American. So that was the funniest part. And he lost everything. He was a stupid idiot for doing that shit to a kid.
And by the way, it turned out he was part Native American.
I just said it. You see what I'm saying?
And stop them?
This is what happens when diversity, equity, inclusion, the DEI, and all this shit becomes a real parasite and start eating itself. They don't put the due diligence on themselves. They put the due diligence on you when they feel like you're the villain.
Also, remember when liberals canceled the OK hand gesture and got it removed from Call of Duty because the gesture was considered a symbol of white supremacy and it was suddenly racist? Or remember how you were all forced to stay inside so you couldn't live your lives, but Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat, was able to leave her mansion to get her hair done while also not wearing a mask during lockdowns?
Yeah, I remember that.
And yet the woke weirdos defended her anyways?
LOL.
Remember when CNN
LOL.
doxed a guy for making a joke about Clinton supporters and they threw him in prison for making a wrestling gif? Where were the woke weirdos then to defend that guy's free speech? Remember when 2 lawyers were caught throwing Molotov cocktails at police cars during the George Floyd protests, and each Molotov cocktail has a minimum sentence of 10 years? But the lady on the right in that photo only got 15 months and the guy got away scot-free? Where was the cancel culture back then?
Damn.
Remember when the game Evolve's community manager was fired for sharing his opinion on Donald Trump, and because he was not a hardcore woke weirdo like others, that he was fired and made an example of? Or when they tried to cancel the creator of Kingdom Come Deliverance because he is a conservative that was making a game about knights during medieval times in Europe? Strange. I don't remember any woke freaks getting mad over that either. Remember when a Subnautica developer got fired for being base and replied to a comment from InfoWars and now he's gone? Or when the co-founder of Atari was denied an award for being a pioneer in gaming because of his sexist behavior? When it turns out the allegations were based with zero facts at all, and eventually they were proven wrong, but those articles are still up claiming that he's a sexist? I don't remember seeing the Act Man or any of the liberal gaming press apologizing about either of these, did you? Or when Smash JT got his website taken down
A Debian came with the receipts.
after mass
Bro came
reporting
with the
done by Nick
receipts.
Calandra of Second Wind. He did eventually get his site back, but why weren't the gaming press protecting Smash JT? Why weren't they writing articles about it in order to spread awareness? I could keep going, but I think I've shown plenty of examples so far to prove my point, I think. Remember when streamers were getting cancelled for playing Hogwarts Legacy and got called transphobic by woke gaming websites and were put on a website list? Okay, I'm done, I promise. I think that's enough examples for now. Just kidding, one more. Remember when Oculus's co-founder was fired for donating to a billboard for President Trump? As you can see from all of these examples, it was woke liberals that were canceling conservative thinking individuals exclusively.
Practice.
And none of these sites, your IGNs or whatnot, would dare defend the victims of many of these hit pieces because they didn't politically align with them. And why didn't the Act Man make a video or two covering any of this cancel culture? But now suddenly, because the other side, the woke side, is getting a taste of their own medicine, suddenly now it's a problem and cancel culture is bad. Okay, good to know. It's like this one user on Twitter who recently talked about Jack Black and said, Jack Black turning his back on Kyle Gass, we live in unprecedented times. Oh really now, it's unprecedented because a liberal guy canceled his liberal friend? Very interesting. But of course, it's business as usual if someone conservative gets blasted or canceled, right? This is the hypocrisy I fight constantly, and man does it feel good to say that we are turning the tables on these people now. For years, base individuals have been getting cancelled all over for simply speaking their minds, and it was terrible. You can't say what you thought without fear of losing everything you have, so I ask the woke freaks out there. Now that the shoe is on the other foot, how does it feel to be accountable for your actions finally? Not very good, is it? This last week, the woke freaks have been living through is but a taste of what me and many others have become conditioned to living in for the past 8 years.
I think a Demon's I get what he's coming from, but I think a Demon is shooting the gun a little bit too early there. Just because certain people got in trouble from taking hot takes against conservative situations, I don't think it's at that point where you can say that yet. I think it's just could be just coincidental to a certain extent, but I wouldn't say just there's a tide turning just yet. There has to be some, like the Trump thing was pretty there. I'm not gonna lie. What happened several days ago, but like, was it several days? I think it was several days, almost a week now. No, it's been several days, I believe. But I don't think to say that there's a giant tide turning, because that has to be universal amongst not only the media, just everything. It has to show a certain type of decorum amongst the citizens of America, and also the media, entertainment.
No luck.
You know what I'm saying?
My hot take is canceling is essentially the same thing as ruining someone's reputation for whatever reason. New name, same chicken wing.
New name, same chicken wing, yeah. So like, I don't know, like, I don't think we're there yet, because this is just a few instances that happened, and I put it in the prospect that the only reason why the Trump thing is being at least putting light on for those who are making hot takes that are considered disparaging is only because he's not president-elect yet, because most of these companies are under that understanding that he's not president yet, and they're not sure if he ever will be president again. So it makes more sense to like not push that narrative too much, or have that narrative be pushed, because if he becomes president-elect, we are fucked. I mean, like we're fucked as a company, not as a country, but I'm just saying like as a company who allowed people to say insane shit and didn't think it was a problem with it because we didn't like him. You know what I'm saying? You know.
Oh, you got canceled for your opinion on the internet? First time, huh? Welcome to the party, fellas. The Act Man saying this now just proves that yet again he only changes his opinions once they are deemed socially acceptable. He never spoke up for anyone in any of the examples I gave. He threw Az from heel versus babyface to the wolves and laughed as he was swarmed, because Az is a conservative with an opinion the Act Man didn't agree with. And now that things are changing finally, now it's suddenly a problem. So ultimately, these are only issues as long as woke liberals have to pay the bill. You're finally getting a taste of your own medicine, and you really don't like it, do you? Well, it's too bad, because it doesn't seem like it's letting up anytime soon. The wave is coming, times are changing, and if you couldn't tell from this video and many others on the internet, people are largely just fed up with all of this. We are sick of being attacked, blasted, and told that our opinions hold no value because we won't condone or bend the knee to these people's insane pleas. The world needs common sense more than ever before, and a return to reality finally after years of living in la fairy tale land with the crazies for so long. And speaking of crazies, let's mosey over to Sweet Baby Inc. They're ruining games still. How do I know? Because a new one they're working on is coming out very soon. It's called Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. And as of the making of this video, it is officially out. Aren't you excited?
But adding more variables to decision making is essentially madness, if it can be helped.
Yes, you should always limit it. You should always limit yourself on the emotions and look at things logically and objectively as possible. Because if you start looking through like an emotional lens, that's where you start making very poor judgments and make very insane biases, and it can lead to a behavior that you're not going to like, or make people distrust you because you're being like I understand trying to be in no man's land is hard, but sometimes you have to take a side on what it is and for what it is, and look at it for the long term, not look at it for the short term, because it's going to hurt someone's feelings. Like, you know, it's like you gotta look at it in that sense. So
to play Sweet Baby's next magnum opus. And by magnum opus, I mean a 70 on Metacritic according to reviews, which are calling the game decent
Emotions
at best
are great
and
for
middling
Arto
and boring
smiling
at
face
worst.
with sunglasses,
Because that's
wavy dash smiling face with sunglasses.
I can agree on that.
Exactly what these reviews are saying, by the way. The game is dead on arrival, across the board. Besides the whole cancel culture thing flipping, games are too, it seems. Nobody wants to buy anything with Sweet Baby attached. I mean, after all, nobody is really even talking about this game, and I mean, who could really blame them? It's a game where allegedly Kim Belair, the co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc., forced the studio to make the main character black over her original white character design, and made the story about a person of color killing gods that are allegories for colonialism. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. And of course, the majority of bad guys you kill are either white men or ghoulish creatures that vaguely also look like white men, because of course they do. And the majority of the people in positions of power who are good are people of color, and women of color especially too. The classic check all the woke boxes kind of game. I love it because it's becoming easier with each release to figure out which game Sweet Baby Inc. could be attached to in the future. You just look for all the telltale signs and it's almost always true. Woman of color main character, tons of white guys dying, something racism allegory. Yeah, it's not hard to find out. I guarantee you that Snoozelock the Meh of Dawn will be on PS Plus and Game Pass within less than a year after this game flops and nobody buys it. I also wanted to check, so I looked it up on Amazon and it's $60 Canadian at release. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna be buying this slop. This is gonna come and go like a fart in the wind.
But logic is
also
not the
the
best
main
tool.
character.
It's the best we got.
I like that.
Is a black woman wielding a tomahawk, which is a Native American weapon, and a flintlock pistol, which is of European design. How dare this woman culturally appropriate not one, but two cultures with her weapons of choice? Is that how this works? Or is it fine because she's a black character? Just want to make sure I know. I wonder how well Black Myth Wukong is doing with its pre-order sales.
Logic
you know, the game that
Batman.
rejected Sweet Baby's help when they tried to extort them for $7 million? Oh, that's right, Wukong
No, actually, logic now equals Yahtzee.
broke its pre-orders by well over 1 million in China alone already. As it states, on June 10th, Chinese developer Game Science started the pre-sale of its upcoming action role-playing game Black Myth Wukong, which sold out within seconds. Currently, reservations on the e-commerce platform JD have exceeded 1 million. The PC Deluxe and Collector's Editions of Black Myth Wukong are limited to 20,000 and 10,000 units. Wow, so when you make a based game that rejects SBI, you sell over 1 million copies in pre-orders within seconds of going live. But if you make your slop diversity simulator game that nobody cares about, and it reviews poorly too, so your woke journalists don't even like it either. Damn, that's crazy. But as you can see, dear viewer, the pendulum is shifting at a rapid pace here. Cancel culture comes for the cancel culture pigs. The Act Man is yet again proving that he doesn't seem to have any concrete opinions of his own, and Sweet Baby's Kiss of Death is going to claim yet another developer before long.
I still think you should be on the fence. I still think with that whole response of like things are changing, I think that should be hold off. And that's a wait and see type of response. I think that's a wait and see type thing, because if you're just because a few things went down your way doesn't mean that it's going to go down that way every time, or most cases. This is probably one of those instances where it's just coincidental.
I would say that I am sad about these things, but these people hate me for simply being me, so instead I will just smile and wave. Thanks for playing, weirdos. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. As for all of you, thank you for watching. Subscribe, share, like the video. Thanks to my patrons and members. You can sign up for as little as $3 a month for exclusive emojis and badges. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, so pretty much that is Ademion and the whole Ackman situation, so that's cool. So like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment. Go check out Ademion if you like. I do like his stuff and all that stuff. I'll try to diversify more with other people with different opinions other than Ademion all the time and like the other same people I listen to. It's only fair if I play it that way instead of always picking the same people with the same type of outtakes. It's sometimes good to listen to a opposing side and see what their and it has to fall into the idea either anime or entertainment, like movies and video games. It's not gonna be like political stuff, like off the bat, conservative stuff. Like they'll fall into that, but like it's not gonna be that like we're looking for like Donald Trump or anything like that, or Biden or whatever the fuck. No, like it has to be under the gaze of like entertainment, movies, video games, or anime, or even art. So like it has to be those four things. If it's not, then I don't fuck with it. I don't bother. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and later. Okay, guys, we finally finished all the anti-woke stuff. That was only 2 anti-woke stuff, but they usually take the longest. Now, this is something that I saw just today, and it came out 2 days ago. This is from the Canadian guy. I'm not familiar with him at all. Never watched him before, and I saw the thumbnail, and I thought the thumbnail would look interesting, and I saw the title. It says, The Truth Behind Crash Bandicoot 5's Cancellation. So I didn't know that Crash Bandicoot was even... I know they made a game recently, but I didn't know they canceled it. I guess Bob's Toys canceled it for some weird reason. So it'll be kind of interesting to hear about this, since I love Crash, and I grew up with Crash growing up as a kid, from the first game on PlayStation all the way to now. So it'll be interesting.
6:30, sir.
I know, we gotta knock these out, though.
Hi.
We have to knock these out. So I'll start the game in a bit, but this won't be long, I promise. So let's play this and get into the crux of this. So what's this is about? It might be a bunch of hoo-ha, or it might be fun to
No luck.
So it's only 10 minutes.
You should collab with Silly Sandy AJ. She's doing this community event to promote indie VTubers and streamers, since you mentioned trying to create a dialectic with others. No luck. She's doing her first one next Thursday.
I don't know. I'll have to talk to my team on that. We'll have to agree on that, because I like letting my team know what I'm doing. So like, we'll have to talk about that. I'll see if that'll become beneficial on my behalf. We'll see. if that, I'll check out her stuff and stuff when I get the chance. Since you say Thursday, so I have a limited time, so I'll check it out. See if it's for me. If it's not, then. But if it is, then I'll let my team know. They're here. Some of them are listening, so like we'll talk about it in Discord next time when we have our meeting.
No luck. Just a suggestion. Sharing information means don't shoot me.
No, it's perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine. I understand. A lot of people say that type of stuff to me a lot.
No luck. I'm just a fan of both of you.
Oh, thank you. But I'll check her out, I promise. Send just so you make it more apparent, send me her channel or her videos to me on Discord if you're part of Discord, Luck. Just let me know, and I'll check it out.
Oh, that music, man.
So why did they cancel it?
You know, I would love it.
Hey, Freeze.
I would really, really love it if just for once, just one time, if people can actually report on Crash Bandicoot news accurately. Is that a hard request? Is that too much of a difficult task to ask of gaming journalism nowadays? I was going to record a video about Spyro 4, and then I was going to record a video about these eggs that I made. But no. I have to talk about this minutia, this mess. Over the years, and it's not just now, Crash Bandicoot has been the butt end of some of the worst journalistic reporting that I have ever seen.
I'm doing a radio silence on my box,
a month ago,
so I am not using Discord until next day.
Explaining that
I will do it when I go online.
Or if you don't have, hopefully you probably have Instagram or even TikTok. I don't think TikTok allows you to send links, but if you have Instagram, you can send it on Instagram if you have it. I have a feeling you don't, but then again, I'm gonna assume that if you do, please send it to me on Instagram, please.
Logo is basically not Aku Aku as a placeholder on their website, meaning that a new Crash game is in development. And here we are again with another news piece that's been blowing up, except this time, it's somehow even worse.
I can do
what? Crash Bandicoot 5 is canceled. Yep, that's where we're at now, ladies and gentlemen. Crash Bandicoot 5 has been canceled. So Crash Bandicoot has been dead again for the 7th time in the past 5 years. Make sure to show up to the gravestone. Make sure to show up to the funeral for the 7th time. Bring some flowers and some wumpas. I'm sure he would love it. If you could not tell by my tone, I am not amused with this quality A-tier reporting. So I'm gonna do what apparently many won't, and that is tell you the truth. So strap in, everybody, because I'm about to tell you what happened, what was said, what was vastly misinterpreted, and what is, in fact, a fact. Because apparently I have to make this video because some gaming journalists have the reading comprehension of a brainless ape on Adderall. Let's start with what happened. Nicholas Cole, or Nick Cole, is an amazing artist who has previously worked with Toys for Bob and Activision.
How are you so calm with people sending you links? I rather people say the title and the creator than send me links.
No, because I'm too busy doing other things, so I'd rather them just send it to me. And then when the day's over, I can just like, okay, let me look through whatever people sent me. This is why with Ari, she asked me with the artwork thing. And she now knows the rules now, and I think even you now, that I don't do it online anymore on stream because it causes too much of a disruption. So whenever someone comes to me and asks me for any help, I send them a video, and I think that's better because like they can always refer back to the video on what I said, so they don't have to go based on the stream or have to go back to the stream to watch the whole thing just to find that one piece. So I think that makes it easier on the subscriber. So if they have a problem with something specific, I can just make them a video and tell them what to focus on, and they can study that video over and over again. And then if they get confused, I can make another video and send it to them. So, and usually they're usually short, so they don't feel like it's a long, dragged on explanation. So I try to make it and condense it in a way that it makes it easier for the student to understand. And it puts me in a position where I can make the explanation short enough and to the point, not a long-winded response. That's something I tend to do too much, so I'm trying to work on that. So it's a great way to engage with the student and also get what they want, so they don't have to sit there and wait till I'm done doing a drawing or a case may be. So
4.
So it caters to both worlds. So the student gets what they want. I give them what they want. They still stay around.
Right,
they stay
but
on
I
the
mean
subscription.
others sending you links, like you say, just send me a link.
Yeah, usually because I assume that most people have Discord. So like a lot of people ask for Discord anyway, and they want to engage with me on Discord. I try to limit it to a certain extent, but like because I try to keep it just about the art. If they want to say hi, I'll keep the conversation really cordial, but I usually go back to the art stuff because it's more because that's the whole
No
point
luck.
of me. So
I sent you a follow. I can't send you the link to the thing, but you can also just look it up. I don't like social media, but understand it is necessary.
okay, so just send me her name and I'll check it out later. Just write her name in the chat and I'll copy and paste and look at it later.
Moved on to do other jobs as well after the fact, like working on Sonic Prime and Disney's Lorcana card game, which honestly, me and my wife play all the time. But
want to upgrade but still paying off your locked phone? Break free from 3-year device contracts.
another project that he worked on was with Phoenix Labs. You may know them for their games like Dauntless and Fae Farm. He worked on a project for about 3 years before, sadly, following the trend of unfortunately many in the gaming industry today, Phoenix Labs laid off a large portion of their employees and canned projects in the process, including the one that Nick Cole was passionately working on. This, of course, made him and the entire team working on that project visibly upset.
No luck.
As it should.
I do
so
have
a few
Discord,
months went by,
but I'm
and
doing
apparently
some
after an
software
internal
stuff.
push to try and have the game revived, Nick decided to share the
Alright,
name
just
of the
send me the
project that
name.
he was
Just write
working
her
on,
name in
Project
the-
Dragon.
and I'll just
Now,
copy and
some people
paste in the
did do an initial double take on this, as Nick is well known in the Spyro the Dragon community. Now, some thought that this could have been a canceled Spyro title. Now, of course, this is an understandable mix-up, and Nick even came out to clarify with the following tweet. Of course, he wanted to make sure that everybody knew that this project wasn't related to Spyro. Nick actually continued to answer a whole bunch of questions about a number of things to a number of users, and one of his replies was the following, quote, "It is not Spyro, but someday
No
folks will
luck.
hear about the
Silly
Crash
Sandy
5 that
AJ.
never was, and it's
She
going
streams
to break
basically
hearts.
every day.
Now hang
Okay.
on to your
She's
socks, because the
Silly
swerves
Sandy
are coming."
AJ.
So this reply, of course, hit the Crash fandom, and it started a discussion throughout the entire community. At first, it didn't hit any major news outlets, but don't worry, it would only take another post for them to screw everything up. After a short time announcing about Project Dragon,
okay.
Nick posted a gigantic portfolio of all the work that he did for the project, while giving more details about what was about and its development. So essentially, Nick wanted to share to the world a great project that was unfortunately so close to being announced and sadly was canceled. And he simply wanted to at least share, inspire, and maybe have a piece of it live on with others.
Sounds like a great idea, with the best of intentions. What could possibly go wrong?
It has now been confirmed that Microsoft has canceled Crash Bandicoot 5, following them letting go of Toys for Bob. The game was in development for 3 years.
No luck. I might even
What?
join you both.
What are you?
I like
An
laying
idiot
in the
sandwich.
cut.
Oh, but trust me, it gets worse. It gets much worse. Numerous articles, threads, comments, everything started piling up like garbage and popping up everywhere, saying different versions of the same story, mixing up Project Dragon and saying that it was the alleged Crash 5, and the comments started pouring in on many posts about it, with everyone giving their hot takes as if it were facts when they couldn't be further from that said fact. Reading these articles and comments felt equivalent to having my head being bashed in with a ball-peen hammer. People were blaming everything and everyone under the sun that had nothing to do with what Nick talked about. First, they blamed Microsoft for the cancellation. Then people blamed Toys for Bob for their poor game choices. Then people blamed Crash Team Rumble's performance and everything you can think of additionally. And the chair.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I'm not gonna lie. The Crash Team Rumble thing, it was like a party game battle royale thing with Crash characters. It was very odd. I don't think anyone sat there and asked for something like that. I think everyone just wanted a Crash 5. That was the weirdest thing. I remember that was announced at like what was that, the Game Awards like 2 years ago or some shit on with Jeff Keighley. It was the weirdest fucking thing. Like I was like, okay, I get it, but I don't get it. Like, I get it because it's Crash Bandicoot, and it's not like Crash didn't have party games before. It's just like it was not something that people were asking for. If anything, if anyone wants a Crash party game, it would have been another Crash go-kart game. I think a lot of people will be wanting a sequel to that, because they did do a remake of the Crash go-kart game, but I think people would have been okay with that. They'll be annoyed, but I don't think they would have been as annoyed. I know I was annoyed when I saw that, because I was like, oh, like, why is Crash not getting another game? Like, why? Like, it's a party game. Like, no one, like, fuck. Like, I don't think anyone was like clamoring for that at all. Yeah.
On top of it all, on top of this nice,
Hello.
big, steaming
We
pile
have
of
Boo.
journalism
We have
integrity, once again, people are saying the Crash franchise is dead. Of course, because why wouldn't they? It's just expected at this point. So, it has been 24 hours. Let's start with actual clarity. Nick Cole did in fact work on Spyro Reignited and Crash Bandicoot 4 at Toys for Bob as a contractor. However, he was released from Activision, along with many others, unfortunately, in 2021. Now, fast forward to 2023 last year, where Crash Team Rumble was released. So, if there was a Crash 5 in any stage or form of development while Nick was there, it would have been in 2021, and Crash Team Rumble wasn't even formally revealed yet during that time. So, I'm not a mathematician, but saying Rumble is to blame, by all accounts, it doesn't make sense. So Crash Team Rumble had literally zero donuts, no effect on Crash Bandicoot 5. It wasn't made instead of Crash 5, and Crash 5 wasn't canceled because of Rumble's performance. No, that's all wrong. Those are all lies. Let's get that out of the way. Next up, Toys for Bob and Activision as a whole weren't even bought out by Microsoft at this point. They were still operating independently as Activision Blizzard. So no, once again, Microsoft is not to blame for this either. And simply because of timing, if this alleged Crash 5 was canceled, then it would have been in and around 2020 and 2021 due to when Crash Bandicoot 4 released and when Nick was released from Toys for Bob. So, if Crash Team Rumble came out in 2023, that means Crash Bandicoot isn't viewed as dead because a whole bloody game released in between then and now. Not to mention, we have just gotten a recent update stating that Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, has sold over 5 million copies. And remember, these are actual sales, not downloads. And Crash 5 was also released as a full-price game, meaning they're netting more per game per sale. Now, there is an important detail here that a lot of people are not asking, and I think this is going to be a big key factor to a lot of answers to people are asking about this, and that is the why. Why was this alleged Crash 5 canceled? Well, I think I can give as close to an answer as possible. So if we rewind back to the end of 2020, the days became pretty gloomy for Toys for Bob. Wumpa League, or Crash Team Rumble, was initially going to release 1 year after the release of Crash Bandicoot 4. We know this by the leaked release schedule and project timelines that we got our hands on. However, at that time, the remote work aspect that was brought on by the pandemic actually slowed down Call of Duty's production. So because of that and all the panic that it literally spurred, Toys for Bob was essentially told to drop everything that they were working on to go and help with Call of Duty in some way, shape, or form. So this meant that Crash Team Rumble, which basically had 1 year of active development left, and every other project that was being worked on at the time was initially stopped. Then, in early 2021, there was a report that went out saying that a large portion of Toys for Bob's art department was let go, and many came forward to confirm this. However, I will say there are some mixed reports on this, as some have said that the employees weren't necessarily let go, but that their contracts were up and Activision decided to just not renew them, because Toys for Bob was helping with Call of Duty and apparently didn't need an art team at the time. Whatever the details were, the point is, the art team was no longer working with Toys for Bob by the end of early 2021. So if Crash 4 came out in October 2020, which it did, and Crash Team Rumble was initially slated to come out a year later, and Nick Cole was working on Crash Bandicoot 5 at the time, but did not have his contract renewed in early 2021, then in my opinion, I think the project was in very, very, very early development, likely in ideation and concepting phase, which of course Nick would be very much a part of. But due to Toys Toys for Bob being forced to work on Call of Duty, the project likely never took full flight, or the ideas come to a full fruition. Now, Crash Team Rumble only had a year left of development, so after they were done on Call of Duty, they could have easily salvaged it and finished it up and sent it out the door. But any of the other projects that were being worked on at the time were likely just overall scrapped due to the art team that was originally working on it no longer being a part of that company anymore. And again, to reread what Nick Cole said, the Crash 5 key words here that never
I'm rolling a fat joint,
tying that
because
with
this
what
trim
we
dank
have
smiling
just
face with
discussed,
sunglasses,
to me
wavy dash
means that
smiling
this
face with
was an
sunglasses.
idea of Crash Bandicoot 5. Now, I have spoken with and am personal friends with many people in the industry, from indie to AAA, and overall, in game development, you're literally throwing and pitching so many ideas when you start out in development, you're just seeing what sticks. It's possible that what Nick is talking about could have been one of 7 Crash 5s that were being explored at the time. To quote Lou Studdert, a game director from Toys for Bob, during one of my interviews, he said, quote, "Game development is a whirling dervish of chaos that pretty much settles close to the end." And I think that this is a prime example of exactly that. So, does this mean that we will never see Crash 5 and that it was canceled? Absolutely not. This cancellation would have been pretty much over 3 years ago, and it wasn't due to an alleged poor performance on previous titles. It was due to Activision forcing Toys for Bob to work on Call of Duty and then not renewing the art team's contracts. So a new Crash Bandicoot is very much possible. But when will we see it? Well, that's the question of the hour, and if you want to stay tuned for that, make sure to subscribe.
Oh no, I'm pretty good. So this was the Canadian guy. I think that's his whole name on this thing. Canadian guy A. Okay, Canadian guy A. Sorry about that, with a EH at the end. So this was interesting. Not that mind-blowing or anything, but like it was interesting nonetheless about the Crash thing, because I do love Crash. I think most of us do, or most of us are at least familiar with Crash. Or grew up with him in some form, or at least played one of Crash's games. But you know, it's kind of sad that the game got canceled. But I don't think that's the end of Crash. There's going to be another company that will take up the mantle eventually, whether it be Bob's for Toys or something completely different. Hopefully, it won't be too different to the point that they kind of did to Crash with the whole back in what 2012, 2013 Crash, I believe. If you know what I'm talking about. It wasn't a bad game, it was just different. Made Crash look really insane, but it is what it is. So with that said, like, subscribe, share, follow, and comment. Hope you guys enjoy this and all that great stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And give a follow to Canadian guy A. So yeah. Okay, we're on the final video, and then we can go and play
I'm Asian and Canadian Canada.
Let me see. I'm Asian and oh, cool. That's awesome. Oh, that's a well, it's not a, I don't think it's like such a unique mix, but I don't hear a lot of Asians watching my stream, so that's kind of cool. Now, guys, the moment of truth. Now we have what came out just how many hours was it? It came out 6 hours ago as a reaction. So we're gonna watch the Overwatch hero called Juno. Juno's here. She has been announced. She's at Space Marine. I guess she's a healer. So we're going to see a little bit of gameplay of this. So those of you who want to see the video of Juno in action for her debut, come over here on YouTube Shorts. Great stuff. So we're going to play it. The video's only 1 minute and 57 minutes long. After that, we're going to go play Zenless. So let's play this right now. Let's go.
Teach, I will leave now. I'm getting tired.
All right, do your thing. All right, let's get this going.
Curious. Bye everyone and have a nice day or night.
You too, Mo.
One small step at a time. I am prepared to cause trouble. Administering aid.
Have a good night now.
Nice.
Yes, I got one. We will kick up a dust storm.
Glide boost. Oh, she can pull like more mercy. She can kill.
Supporting in T-0.
Pulsar.
Targeting. Hold on.
Thanks for the help.
Threat neutralized. Let's go. The fight is not over. Hyper ring out. Maximum velocity.
Oh shit. Oh bro. So they mixed the idea of Kirito what her name? Kiriko and a little bit of, I wouldn't say Mora when the healing, but it's oh no. They mix between Kiriko and Lifeweaver, because he has that that homing ability where you can heal, but she can heal and attack at the same time with this. I'm pretty sure that's not gonna be our primary. That's gonna be like our secondary or something.
Come get some of this!
Locking satellite vector.
This is our ultimate. Overall, right? That must be the ultimate.
Welcome to orbit.
Peak performance!
Now that's more like it.
Whoa! Look out! Here I come! No signs of enemy life detected.
So wait, let me get this straight. The ultimate, if I'm assuming
No
what the
luck.
ultimate does.
Kirito.
Kiriko, yeah. Kiriko. I almost got Kirito from Solar Art Line. So like what I'm assuming here, how her ultimate works, she shoots like a hammer of dawn, like from Gears. It hits the floor, and I guess it gives two things. It gives healing and probably like attack buff for like a couple of seconds to like probably 10 seconds at best. So it's kind of like a mix between, I guess, if this is what I'm assuming. I'm not saying that's how it works. I didn't see it. We saw gameplay, but this one's more speculation based on how it's presented. So like, I am assuming that the way she moves, or the way the ultimate works, it gives both buff and healing at the same time. So it's like a mix between Lifeweaver's healing with the giant tree, or like I don't think the same as Zen's. But she also gives buff like Mercy. So when Mercy uses her ultimate and you hold like, I think right bumper, depending if you're using the Xbox remote, let's just say you're using the Xbox remote because I use that a lot, you give buff. So it's kind of like that, because it looks like in the video, it looks like a mix between blue and yellow. So I'm assuming that's what it does. So it hits the floor and gives everyone like a buff.
I have no idea. I thought you were talking about SAOLOL.
No, I know. It seemed like I was saying SEO like Kirito when it was Kiriko.
No signs of enemy life detected.
Begins August. That's in 2 days. She's cute. She's a cute design. Very cute design. She has Overwatch colors on. That's really cute. Let me see. Before we play over Zenless, I want to see. I'm gonna connect this to both. I'm gonna put two people in this same video. So like, this is the Master Ian Gamer. I guess he's gonna give us a little bit more of a.
I should use my Xbox mic.
So like, it's
Master Ian Gamer.
Let's see.
We just got the official reveal of the next upcoming new hero. Yes, Space Ranger, or as we now officially know her name to be, Juno. She will properly be releasing with Season 12, but a playtest for this new hero will be starting tomorrow, July 19th. And in this little teaser
we might
video,
do that tomorrow.
We got our first look at not only the new hero in
We might do that tomorrow. We might play Overwatch tomorrow just for that.
But
and I'm not banned anymore, so let's go.
Also all her abilities. So I'm gonna go ahead and run through this little gameplay trailer of the brand new hero and talk about what we actually see happening here. So the trailer itself starts off with Juno's pod coming down in Dorado. She flies right on out, and immediately we get this sort of light, airy vibe to the hero. I think is the only way to really put it. Everything throughout this video, all of her abilities, all her movement, the sound effects, everything feels very light and airy, which I guess makes sense for a hero with little gravity, you could say. Everything she does feels very floaty, which is an interesting direction for a...
So So she's kind of like a mix between Lifeweaver in some ways, Kiriko in some ways, and maybe Echo, because Echo kind of moves similarly in that sense.
Let's go.
So like, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll play this tomorrow.
Hero. I'm curious to see what this is actually going to feel like playing her in game. If she really does feel this floaty and bubbly, so to say, or if it's more just playing up the aesthetics of the hero in the trailer here. But either way, we do get a look at her abilities. First and foremost, her primary fire, which is the Medi Blaster, a SMG. Yes, Blizzard said they weren't going to give her an SMG, but it looks like they did anyways. Which
I bet you someone on Twitter on the Bird app is going to complain about her design in some way, some form. She's too cute. She's this, she's too that. Make her ugly.
I can tell looks like a typical sort of burst fire SMG that seems to behave similar to Ana's primary fire in that its shots heal allies and also damage enemies.
Oh,
it doesn't
so you can shoot
seem
that.
to have two different firing modes.
I didn't see that part.
But rather is just
Holy shit, I didn't pay attention to that. I didn't know she can heal and attack as a primary fire. Okay, so it is like Ana. So she's a mix of Ana, Lifeweaver, Echo, and I guess depending on ultimate as you look at it, it's like kind of like a Mercy in that sense of the buff, and then also like any other hero who has like a crowd control type ultimate when it comes to healing.
A singular shot.
I might like playing as her. We might see. I really hope she's good to use.
That if it hits an ally, they're healed. If it hits an enemy, they're hurt. Which actually seems to be how a few different mechanics with this hero actually work. Next up, we get a look at what seems to be her personal mobility tool using her little Pulsar 1 jet boosters as part of the glide boost ability. It seems pretty similar to Echo's just sort of flight mechanic, where she just gets a bit of airtime, seems to sort of float or glide around a bit as she's using it. Honestly, this feels very similar to Echo's flight ability from how we see it depicted here, and I will be curious to see in-game how it actually differs, if at all, from that mechanic. And then we get this nice little bit here where she melees Venture by kicking them, so I suppose she's taking a page out of Zenyatta's book, and that her melee is a kick as opposed to a punch. And then we move on to her
She's zen with the kicks. She got them legs though. She got them legs. It'll be kind of hard. It would be kind of like not believable if she's floating around and she ain't throwing some kicks. You know what I'm saying? I think, fellas, man of culture. If you're a man of culture, you know what I'm talking about. You got them legs. You know I'm sucking for them legs too. Come on. If that's her primary, I'm gonna love playing as her kicking motherfuckers in the face.
Second ability, Pulsar Torpedoes. So what these appear to be are an auto-targeting, auto-lock-on sort of like rocket pod type thing, which again, targets both allies and enemies, and then deals damage to enemies, but heals allies. That seems to be how it works based on what we see here, which definitely suggests a sort of simplistic kit and playstyle overall, if you ask me. If it is as straight up simple as it's just an auto-locking mechanic, I'm kind of curious to see how people end up receiving this. People have talked a lot about auto-seeking, rockets and weapons and stuff for Overwatch, and of course Symmetra back in the day had a sort of auto-locking primary fire. So I'm curious to see how this ends up getting received if it is an ability that just sort of auto-locks onto targets. Especially one that can focus on both allies and enemies. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll see the amount of actual damage and healing it goes out, cooldown and everything like that. But moving on to her third ability then, we have the Hyper Ring. Yes, the highly teased speed boost mechanic
I don't know.
We've known about for a while, technically.
This one, this ultimate feels kind of weird because it just feels like Kiriko. Because the way she even looks, she looks like an Asian character based on just looks alone. So it's just like Kiriko, but just in space to a certain, well, not Kiriko all the way, but like, you know what I'm saying.
At this point, where she fires out a speed ring. And yes, this is just a vertical standing speed ring, like what you would find in like a racing game, so to say, where it seems like once her or her teammates move through it, they get a speed boost. Yeah, pretty simple, pretty clear cut. We even see her getting what looks to be a potential super jump while under the effects of the speed ring, as we see her and her allies jumping up onto the bridge.
Or maybe what it does, it not only gives you speed, but it also makes you lighter. That's probably what it does, because her whole thing is gravity, so that probably is a thing we didn't notice. We only saw her do it, but maybe that's how it works. So like when you jump, you are less you're much more lighter, and it's much more grip on using the movement like that. Maybe that's how it works.
Here. So again, we don't know the exact details of the mechanics for this. We don't know the numbers for the cooldown or the exact effects or speed boost, but it does look like some sort of speed boost ability with a super jump tied to it. And then last of all, we get a look at her ultimate ability, which is indeed an orbital ray, firing down a big space laser, which doesn't do damage, to be fair, but seems to just give a whole host of other buffs and effects.
Yeah,
the laser itself does seem to walk forward, as we can see it actually moving across this second point of Midtown here as the teams are fighting. And based on the colors of the laser itself, it seems like it's probably going to be a hybrid of healing and damage boost, since you have the yellow and the blue. Although we really just see the heroes sort of running in and dominating the enemy by shooting them and punching them and whatnot. So we don't have like a very clear-cut idea of what exactly is happening here. But my guess here is that the ray is giving out a sort of AoE healing and damage boost, and then it just sort of like moves forward gradually, so you can sort of push up into the enemy team. And
maybe it moves gradually because the closer you are, the more you get the heals and more of the buff. That's why it moves. Because if it hit just the floor and just gives people the same on the enemy team or the team that you're on, it wouldn't make more sense if it just kind of hits the ground and it moves. Just feels like a big, I don't know. Maybe the closer you are towards it, the more damage and healing you get, or it might weaken other people. They don't hurt them, but it weakens their damage, and I don't think it negates their healing. I'd really doubt that, but it might make their damage less on the enemy team, so it has some form of effect on the enemy team. But that might be a bit overpowered on that behalf, maybe, depending on who you're asking, but
walk with the laser while gaining all of those effects. An interesting ultimate, and definitely one that leans more into an offensive side of ultimates as opposed to something more defensive like Zenyatta's or Lucio's, and one which I am very eager to try out, to say the least. Again, the trial for Juno begins tomorrow, July 19th, and yes, I will indeed be streaming it as soon as the trial goes live, because I am very eager to get to try her out. Now, as I was editing this video, Blizzard went ahead and released the sort of abilities overview for Juno on their official X account. Here we can see the weapons and ultimate along with the abilities. So I just wanted to run through the info we have here as well real quick. First up, for weapons and ultimate, she has the Medi Blaster primary fire, burst fire weapon that heals allies and damages enemies. So yes, it is like Ana's weapon where the single shot heals and hurts depending on who it hits. Her secondary fire then is the pulsar torpedoes, the sort of auto-locking mechanic we saw. Press secondary fire to lock on, then primary fire to fire homing projectiles. Heals allies over time and damages enemies. So yes, like her primary fire, the secondary fire is also a, sort of multi-purpose utility in that sort of regard. And then for her ultimate, orbital ray, call down a ray that travels forward, healing allies and increasing their damage. It doesn't do damage to enemies, it doesn't give a speed boost or anything like that, it is just healing and damage boost. And then for her abilities, glide boost, glide horizontally with increased movement speed. So it always seems to be very horizontal as opposed to the bit of verticality which Echo gets. Although Juno does have her own sort of aerial stuff, which we'll get to in a second. Hyper ring, deploy a ring that increases movement speed of allies that pass through it. So yeah, pretty simple still, but an interesting ability. And then her passive ability, Martian Overboots. While airborne, press jump to double jump and hold jump to hover. Interesting. So she has the Genji double jump, basically. And then if she holds it, she can just sort of hover in the air, which I guess can sort of combo with
a mix of between Genji's double jump and Mercy's floating, or probably even Echo. So that's 3 characters in one particular movement. God damn. So she has 3 characters in one particular movement. She has a homing attack to a certain extent, like when it comes to healing, it's like Lifeweaver, and then like Symmetra. But I think that only works I think that homing thing only works if you're a certain distance. I don't think it just works instantly as you press it and it goes to anyone. I think you have to be a certain range for it to have its effect, whether it's next to your teammates or to your the enemy team. To me, that's what it seems to be. That's why she was super close, and they made sure that the hit got hit. So it must be like a range thing, just like you said with Symmetra back in the day when her attack was just literally it locks onto you from a certain range. So when you got pretty close to a Symmetra, you was kind of fucked at that point. It only depended on how well you dodged as Symmetra at that point, I believe. But yeah, she's a mix of a bunch of heroes. She's like 7 heroes in one, and in specific situations given her kit. So like she's Kiriko, she's Life Weaver, she has Symmetra, she has floating, which is Mercy, she has double jump as Genji, she has Echo with the movements and the or floating like Mercy, but she has the movement like Echo when flying. Now I don't know how fast the flying is, like Anna's to a certain extent. Not Anna's. What's her name? Farah. So it could be similar to that, but I really doubt it. But it is what it is. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it.
For glide boost to get like further horizontal mobility. I'm wondering how long she can hold this, if this is like an indefinite thing where she can just sort of stay airborne, hovering there basically.
I doubt
or if
it.
There's like a limited
because if
time
she
before
did,
she drops down.
If she can stay in the air for that long, then a lot of Pharaohs will be fucked. Especially if your aim is really good. If your aim is really good and the way her weapon works,
Moral Lathers.
It doesn't really.
I am not sure if the reactions are slowing down your skin study, but this is the most longest render of skin I've ever seen.
Yes, it is. Actually.
You do really good though.
I'm trying my best here.
Again, we'll have to find out for ourselves once we actually play her in game starting tomorrow. But it is nice that we get a bit more of a look at her abilities, a bit more information about them from this here. And on that note, let me know your thoughts on this new hero by dropping a comment down below. Do you have any particular thoughts about the abilities we've seen showcased here today? Or maybe you're just excited to get to play her and, I don't know, want to share that. Either way, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe. Hit up that bell icon, follow me on X, and join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any of my future Overwatch 2 news, streams, and other content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible. If you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. Otherwise, this is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.
Alright, with that said, like, share, follow, comment. Go follow Master Eon Gamer. I'll also put Play Overwatch in the description, so that's 2 different creators, but the first one was basically just Overwatch. It's the Overwatch I think official YouTube channel, so I don't think anyone cares about following that. But if you want to follow Master Ian Gamer, go ahead. That'd be really cool if you guys did. Like, share, follow, comment. Also follow me on Twitter and all the other platforms in the description at the bottom. We're pretty much done at this point. I still need to work better on my. I think I have a real problem rounding off the breasts. It's getting hard for me to, without putting too much shading. I think I have to know how to manage that better. But I'll eventually get this. I'm getting it as we go, but it has its problems compared to the last time. Tomorrow I'll be painting this good fella here. So look out for that. So you guys can't say, "Oh, you're only painting women for their sex appeal." No, I also do men as well. I draw men as well. So tomorrow I'll be shading this big guy on TikTok because I know TikTok ain't gonna have a fucking problem when I'm doing or drawing dudes on my art. For some odd reason, I can draw them almost pretty much naked on TikTok and no one says anything. But when I draw a woman, just even a mannequin, oh god, we're all gonna die. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. We're gonna go play Zenless Zone Zero. I'm gonna play it on YouTube, Twitch, and YouTube Shorts,
Moral Lathers.
and all that great stuff.
Yes, man.
So we're gonna go play Zenless. So if you guys care for that, I'm gonna end the stream. I'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes.
Moral Lathers.
And get everything set up.
Drooling face, drooling face, drooling face, drooling face.
So yeah, we're gonna.
Moral Lathers.
I'm gonna be
More
painting
skin
this
study
guy.
for men, please.
Well,
Mr.
it depends.
Thanks.
So we're gonna do this
I'm
tomorrow. So we're gonna see how that comes out. I did this for Ari, so I took this upon myself to paint him just to see if I can do it. And we have our reference right here, so that'll be fun. So with that said, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. We're gonna play some Zen. Follow me on my Discord, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, all the works. You know how that goes in the descriptions, YouTube shorts, and all that great stuff. So with that
Moral
said, I'll be
lathers.
right back, guys.
Buff BOI yes.
All right, I'm out. I'll be right back.